I just found probably the most alien-looking creature on Earth. It is literally a mutant creature with the mouth of a spider, the body of a scorpion, and claws that look like saws. And that's not even mentioning that it has some of the weirdest and creepiest behavior out of any animal ever. But despite how weird it is, apparently there's a website that will sell you one as a pet. So yeah, you guys read the title. I'm gonna build a home for one of these things and actually keep it as a pet. $20, let's just get it, oh boy. And once I get it, I'll be judging if this alien creature is actually a good pet, and I'll even show it to my mom to get her reaction. Yeah, she's gonna love it. Anyways, after placing the order, they said they would ship it out in a few days. So in the meantime, to build the enclosure, I got out the tank and a couple big boxes of rocks. Yeah, I got a lot of rocks for this. This is because I needed them to start stacking around the outer part of the enclosure to try to make it look like a cave. You see, in the wild, tailless whip scorpions like to hide in between rocks because, I guess that's just where they feel safe. I don't really know. And to connect the rocks together, I originally tried to use my handy dandy hot glue gun and, you know, glue them, but the rocks were just too heavy and it kept collapsing over and over. Oh my gosh, these stupid rocks keep falling. Yeah, it wasn't really working, so instead I resorted to using some animal safe spray foam like always, and I covered it in a bunch of the big rocks and then a bunch of tiny little rocks, and I repeated that process on the left and right side of the enclosure. And check it out. Hopefully you see the vision I'm going for. You know, there's a cave. We're making a cave. There's rocks on the walls. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. Now, this is a good start. However, you'd be dumb to think this is all I'm doing. I'm making this the best enclosure ever, so I can show off all the cool things the alien creature can do. It's gonna be so cool to watch. Anyways, the next step is to do the floor and decorations. And for the floor, we want it to be high quality and cheap, which is why I've got a bunch of these coconut fiber bricks, which are about to expand into a ton of dirt. Seriously, these are so cool. You just add a big tub of water like this. Ooh, I'm getting that everywhere. And over time, it's gonna start to absorb that water and they're gonna expand and become a bunch of dirt, you know? And boom, look at that. It went from those boring bricks to this nice, moist dirt. Yeah, boy. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but you know, it's dirt. It's pretty necessary. To top off the floor, I mixed in some wood chips, dead leaves, some moss, and a couple rocks. Now, apparently the alien creature I'm getting has the ability to dig burrows out in this dirt with its claws, but I have no idea if mine's gonna do that, so hopefully it does. That would be pretty dang cool to watch. Now, to decorate the enclosure, I got these super thin sticks and started to glue them along the top. As you can see, they kind of look like tree roots, which adds this cool effect to the build that makes it look like there's trees growing above this cave. Nice. And of course, this wouldn't be a TerraGreen enclosure without some plants in here, which, as you can see, I've got a few of. And if you're wondering where I got them, yeah, I got them from Walmart, as always. I love Walmart so much. Please sponsor me. Please, please, please. As you can see, all the plants are pretty small since we don't want it to look too planty in this cave. So I planted them around and gave it a nice spray down with my water spraying thing. Now, these plants are actually super important because water droplets will gather on top of the leaves, which will easily allow the alien creature to sip them up and get hydrated, which, you know, is good. You know, we gotta make sure he can drink water and stuff. But while I was at Walmart getting the plants, I also found this absolutely majestical stone statue of an alien.
Hi, how are you?
Because, you know, we're putting a tailless whip scorpion inside of here, which is basically an alien. So yeah, I put that in to finish off the decorations. Bruh, this guy's got a big forehead. That's a real shame. Thankfully, my forehead isn't that big. Okay, the first 3 steps are all complete, but now it's time to get some technology in this enclosure to make it stand out. It's this super tiny Bluetooth speaker, which I buried in the dirt and covered with a leaf. With this, all I gotta do is connect it to my phone with Bluetooth, and I can play stuff like cave noises, which is pretty cool. You know, adds to the cave ambience. But of course, I don't have to make this speaker just play cave noises. I can make it play literally anything, like the most annoying sound in the world, 1 hour. What is this sound? What? This is so stupid. Okay, definitely wasn't lying. This is probably the most annoying sound in the world. I don't think the alien's gonna like this if I play this when he's in here. Okay, I get it. Can you just turn off by now? Turn off. Okay. Oh, okay. Please turn off. Please. I had to fill up this container with a bunch of water, and after it was filled up, I put it back on top and finally twisted this knob right here. And now check this out. Out of the end of this tube, a bunch of smoke, as you can see, or fog, not smoke. It'd probably be bad if there's smoke coming out of it. Dang, that is actually cool. Look, it just comes out. I don't know how a machine just turns water into fog. That's pretty cool. Anyways, this is actually very useful, since as long as I turn this on about once a day, it will keep the humidity levels at a good spot for this enclosure. Also, it's just cool and adds to the cave ambience, you know? And speaking of cave ambience, let's go, baby. So I got out a knife and opened the package up. And oh, here it is. Because you can't really see anything. There's paper towels everywhere. Okay, hold on. Let me open this up. I then very carefully removed the lid and paper towels to expose the alien creature. Oh my gosh. This thing is gonna jump out at me. I have no idea. I'm just gonna close the glass though. Yeah, get that closed. Thank you very much. Now at first, it was completely still, and actually I couldn't even tell if it was alive. But eventually I noticed signs of movement, and then soon enough, it fully started to climb out of its container. Very creepily, it slowly made its way over to a rock to go into hiding. But it wasn't just any rock. Of course, it was the rock with the alien statue on top. Bruh. Well. I told you guys this was an alien. Only an alien would go under the rock with an alien on top of it. But anyways, as I said at the start of the video, I'm gonna be pranking my mom with this thing. But before I do something like that, let's just see what it's capable of by trying to feed it something. I don't know. Let's just put some food in here though. And after doing some research, it turns out that tailless whip scorpions absolutely love crickets. And thankfully, I always have a bag of crickets. And immediately after putting them in, they actually all looked very happy. These stupid crickets really thought that this was their new home, and they were just going around eating moss. Well, little did they know that this home actually belongs to my tailless whip scorpion, and unfortunately for one of the crickets, it made a wrong turn. It walked straight into the crevice of the rock that the alien creature was sitting inside. I thought for sure that that cricket was a goner, but miraculously, about a minute later, it walked out the rock unscathed. A little later, I saw the alien creature in a different spot hanging onto a wall. And just like before, a cricket walked straight up to it. And in fact, this cricket was extra stupid. He started to walk right in front of the alien's literal mouth. Bruh. But for some reason, the tailless whip scorpion was not eating it at all. Okay, it's the next day, and I figured out why the alien creature in here isn't eating. It's because this species is partly nocturnal, and as you can see, I just have massive studio lights shining super brightly on here. I guess he just doesn't want to eat in the light. So anyways, I want to let this guy just kind of adjust to the new home for about a week, and I guess I'll just come back then and we can do the rest of the stuff. In the meantime, here's this cool video by Aquarium Max Pets of the same species eating, if you're wondering what that looks like. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyways, let's get back to the content. Okay, this is the absolute best part of the video because I'm gonna show my mom this alien creature and then I'm gonna prank her. And if you're wondering how I'm gonna prank her, just take a look at this thing. It's basically a one-on-one model of the tailless whip scorpion. And yeah, I'm basically just gonna throw it at her. She is not gonna be happy. But anyway, she's not home right now, so I guess I'll just cut to when she is and we'll show her this. Okay, you can come in. Alright, so I just got a new pet, and I just want to show you it. Okay. Now come stand over here, and you can try and tell what it is. I just want you to guess what kind of pet I got.
Oh my gosh, it looks super cool. Where's it at?
Can you see anything in there?
I'm trying, my heart is.
Okay, well, it's hidden behind this rock, but...
Shut up, dude.
Do you know what it is?
No.
If you look very closely back under that rock, there's something right there.
Oh my god, dude, I'm scared.
For some reason, she couldn't really see it, so I gently woke it up with a spatula, and here's her reaction.
Oh my god, dude! What the heck is this?
You see that?
Seriously? No, no, yeah, that's alien and mindfulness. Oh,
it's an alien in there.
My goodness.
Anyways, I have this fog machine, so we can put some fog on it, and that's pretty cool.
That's super cool, but seriously, where did that come from?
I don't know, the space or something?
Space.
Okay, anyways, that's all I gotta show you. Do you think it's cool?
No, dude, it looks so freaking weird. Yeah, it looks like evil.
Well, it's a good thing you'll never have to see it again. Okay, bye. Okay. Now that she had seen it and left, I got the one-on-one model out and put it on my hand. This is gonna be really funny. Okay, could you come back in here? I just forgot to show you one thing.
Oh my god, dude! Dude,
you wanna say hello to it?
No, go away!
Yeah.
You're such a dork, that's not even real.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper.
Oh my god.
What do you rate it out of 10?
Oh my gosh. Whew, I don't know, I'm still I'm still confused.
Okay, bye. Okay, this is a bloodworm, and it is the creepiest, most disgusting creature ever. It even has 4 venomous fangs in each corner of its mouth that you definitely don't want to get bit by. Now, I'm known for keeping the weirdest pets, so of course, I found a website that sells them as a live bait for fishing. Yeah, literally nobody buys these as pets. I think I'm literally going to be the first person in the world, which means I'm going to get to show off the crazy unseen abilities of these guys. So hey, let's just check this thing out. And after a couple of days, a truck dropped off the package at my house so I could finally check them out. Here we go, bloodworms. Even as an animal expert, I am like pretty spooked about these. But anyways, let's just check them out. Underneath all the packing material were the bloodworms. So using some tweezers, I carefully removed one to take a closer look. And yep, this is a bloodworm. You can see that they are absolutely disgusting looking, and their mouth is even able to extend out of their body like an alien. But at the end of this part that expands are their venomous fangs, which they use to latch onto stuff like shrimp in the ocean, which I'll be showing off very soon. Now, one thing though, I actually bought 12 of these bloodworms that I'm gonna have to keep all in the same aquarium. So yeah, this is gonna be a nightmare. Now for the build, I'm gonna put in some aqua soil and a dirt mix. Eventually, we're gonna completely fill it with water because that's how bloodworms live in the wild. But for now, I just put a tiny bit of water in to keep the dirt nice and moisty. But I've already run into the first problem because I don't think I was supposed to add the water straight to the dirt. It kind of made it a weird consistency, and the water is just straight up black. So yeah, I drained the water, scooped out the dirt, and I washed it off in the sink. Then I put the soil back in, covered it in a thin layer of sand, and added the water back. As you can see now, the water stays fantastically clear. Nice. This mound here in the middle will be where I build all the decorations, and I'll even be putting in some red plants, and then finally filling it all up with water. First of all, let's get some pieces of wood in here. And I thought this design of multiple of these burnt looking ones coming from the middle looked pretty nice. I didn't want them sticking out the top though, so I broke off all those extra pieces and planted them in the sand below to give the whole wood structure a more fuller look. Now it's time for the rocks, and you may think these are just called river rocks, but in fact, that is not true. This one on the left is actually called an elderly boulder, and this one on the right is called a black venom boulder. Now those are some cool names. Just wanted to say thank you to whoever named them. But the best rock I have is this. It's actually not a rock at all. It's actually wood. Yeah, just like what I already got in there. Yeah, it's called petrified wood, and basically millions of years ago, it was buried under the earth and turned into a rock over time. But for this wood rock back here, I've actually got a pretty cool plan. As you can see, I've got a little can of sardines, which you basically just open by pulling the... okay, it just broke off. Okay, attempt 2. Basically, you just open it like this, and inside there's some like dead fish that you eat. Now with the sardines, I actually went and put one of them under this petrified wood. I'm doing this because I want to test to see if the bloodworms have a smell ability and whether they'll be able to find the sardine under it, dig it out, and eat it. Yeah, that should be pretty fun to watch. Anyways, now I want to get some red aquatic plants in here. So I drove to Petco so I could buy some. All right, I'm at Petco and I'm hoping they got some red plants in stock today. Oh, bro, there's not a single red plant in stock. I swear they usually got them, but I guess not today, huh? Instead, I had to drive home and go buy some online. Thankfully, though, there was a ton of websites with some nice reddish plants on them, so I went and added a bunch of them to my cart. And whew, it's gonna be pretty expensive, but hey, I say it's worth it for these red plants, baby. Check out. Since I bought the one-day delivery, the next day I got the package with all of the red plants inside, so I took them all out and started to put them around random parts in the sand. Now, a few of the plants they gave me weren't actually red, they were very green, but it's okay because I was starting to like the look of how it was all coming together. I also ended up getting these red ruby crystals that I scattered along the floor of the enclosure to add a bit more red in here to match that bloodworm color, of course. But as you can probably tell, I've been keeping the 2 sides of this enclosure completely empty, and that's because I want to build some custom DIY builds on both sides that the 12 bloodworms will be able to interact with. First of all, on the right side, I'm going to make a little cave they can all hide in. Now, in an old video, here is the finished triple-decker cave. Looks good, right? Right? Let's just get this thing in there just like that. It may not be the prettiest decoration in the whole world, but a wise man did once tell me it's not about the looks, it's about the thought that went into it. And yeah, a lot of thought did go into this cave, okay? We can store 3 different worms in there. All right, now time for the left side's DIY build. Now, of course, I had to start filling it up with water so the bloodworms will be able to swim around in there. But when it got to like 30% full, I kind of realized a big problem. Oh shoot, bro. I don't know how I didn't think of this, but bloodworms, they live on the beaches of oceans. And the beaches of oceans have salt water. I've been making this a freshwater tank. I've been putting fresh water in it. But it's okay, because thankfully in the corner of my garage, I just have 2 big cartons of Pacific Ocean water, sourced straight from the ocean. Don't ask why I have this, I just do. Anyways, I drained out a little bit of the fresh water and started to add in the ocean salt water. And by the time it was filled up, the salt level was 0.02, which is perfect for bloodworms. All right, all the right water parameters have been met in here, so the bloodworms are good to go in. But because I put salt water in here, it does mean the $200 on freshwater plants I spent is gonna go down the drain. Yeah, these are all about to die. Since they were all gonna die, I wanted to replace the red theme in here, so I got this heatless red lamp. As you can see, it makes the water have this red tint to it, which is cool, because you gotta have the water at least look a little bit like blood when putting bloodworms inside. Now, I also need to get snails inside of here so they can eat any algae that grows. Now, luckily for me, I actually have this tank just set up with like 30 just snails in here, and they're called nerite snails, and they're able to survive in salt water, so that's why I'm gonna choose these guys. So I got a few of those and put them inside the bloodworm tank. Once they got used to the water, a few of them came out their shells and started to move about the glass. Now, I think these guys should be safe from bloodworms because of their shells, but I'm not gonna give the 100% guarantee. So sorry guys if you get eaten by the bloodworms. Now for the final touch of this tank. And what I did is I actually went and found this cool picture of a beware of the dog sign, and I went and asked AI to change it to a beware of the worm sign. Oh my gosh, look at what it generated. That is absolutely perfect. Wait, let me go print this out at the store real quick. So I printed it, attached it to a piece of cardboard to make it a sign, and there we go, a beware of worm sign. I then even went and spiced up the enclosure a little bit by splattering some red paint along the sides to make it look like blood splatters. And there we go, 100% complete bloodworm enclosure. And I guess there's only one thing to do. Let's get these bloodworms inside. Now, I'll just be starting with one, and then I'll add all the rest as I test more and more food. But yeah, let's just put this guy inside. Be free, boy. And the worm kind of just sank down to the bottom and started moving around randomly. And yeah, well, this is kind of all bloodworms do. They just wiggle about, and occasionally they'll burrow under the sand, which is where they spend most of their lives. And as you can see, it didn't take this guy long until he started to do just that. But I guess he got bored of the digging, because eventually he just came out and started to wiggle about again above the sand. Wait, before this guy tries to burrow under the sand again, let's get to feeding him some food. Now, this stuff is so smelly and so oily, I think he just has to eat it, right? Now, I actually went and added in 2 more bloodworms to the tank, so there was a higher chance of one of them eating it. Then I did the same thing. I just wiggled the salmon around in front of their mouths until they ate it. But just like the fish pellets, for some reason, these worms were not wanting anything to do with it. I'm not too sure if they're gonna eat this, but it's worth a shot. Let's put them inside. But there was a slight problem because, as you can see, the fish food was floating, and I feel like the bloodworm isn't just gonna swim up to it, so instead I picked it up with some tweezers and moved it towards the worm. And as you can see, when I moved it towards him, he actually went and flashed his fangs at me for the first time. I thought this surely meant he was hungry, so I started to wave the food around in front of his mouth a bunch, and yeah, nothing. He didn't eat it. So hey, fish food, I'm gonna give a 0 out of 10. He didn't even want anything to do with that. But next up, out of all of these, now I actually think bloodworms need to have their mouth part extended and their fangs showing in order for them to eat food. And right now, their mouths are retracted because I think they're stressed. So what I did was I actually went and put all of the 12 bloodworms in the aquarium and just kind of let them do their thing. My thinking was if I left them alone for a few hours in the tank, they'd start to get used to it and then they would eat. After a while, I went and took one of the bloodworms out and put him on land. I waited a little bit for him to shoot his mouth out, and when he did, I grabbed it with tweezers. Now you can really get a good look at the fangs, and what makes these fangs so cool is they're actually made of copper. Yeah, like the metal you find underground, and they're the only animal in the world with copper teeth. I brought it up to the 3rd food source, which is of course beef, and after kind of like shoving his face in it, he instantly bit down with all 4 of his fangs and started to devour this piece of meat and just suck all the juices out. Wow, it took a long time for me to get a bloodworm to eat a piece of meat, but dang, that is so cool when they do grab on, because look, I'm shaking it, like literally it doesn't want to come off. It's like, I am eating this, do not take it away. So I went and removed the food from them, which was pretty hard. I had to like kind of shake them off. Holy, that was actually kind of cool to watch, and it looks like you can see the little bite mark where the worm was biting, and remember, these guys are venomous, so there's literally venom. Thing with the last food source, which is a shrimp. And once one of the other worms shot out their mouth, I once again grabbed it, and this time put the shrimp in front of it. He also immediately grabbed onto it, and now these 2 bloodworms were having the time of their lives eating up the food. After like an hour, well guys, I brought my mom in. Say hi.
Hi.
All right, come on in. Of course, I gotta show you a new pet. Just take a look. This one's gonna be quick. You can see the pets in there, right?
Oh my gosh.
You know what those are?
Ew. They look like some sort of slug leeches. Look at all the little tentacles.
And yeah, actually, there's some right
Go.
So that purple right there, that's the mouth of the worm. And if you look very, very closely, you see those 4 little fangs on it.
Oh my gosh, that's so this is probably the most disgusting thing yet.
I know, that's what I'm thinking, and yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Come on, Dad, let's get this in my car. Guys, we just bought this tank from someone who said he didn't want it anymore. And apparently there's a live turtle inside, but I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, we gotta get this thing home quickly.
Yeah. Wait, stop. I think I just saw something in there. Wait, do you see that? And after taking a closer look, you can see the turtle was right there, chilling under a piece of wood. So we took off the lid to get it out. Yeah, look, the turtle's in here. Wait, should we take it out until we get home?
Well, we don't have a place to put it. Well, we might as well just keep it in there.
I guess so. I mean, we're not super far from home. He looks all right. Let me just put him back in here. There you go, buddy. I'll just cover you back up. After we got it home, I searched around for a second until I found the turtle again, which looked like it was still in good health. So I took it out to get a closer look. What species is this? I don't think I've ever seen this. It has like orange on it. Hold on, I guess let me just put this into my temporary tank. I have an idea of how to figure out what species this is. So I opened up an AI app on my phone to take a picture of the turtle and ask what species it thought it was. And it came back as a Central American wood turtle, and even gave me some facts about it. But at the very bottom, it said that it had the special ability to stomp on the ground to make worms rise to the surface. Wait, that is actually so cool. I'm gonna 100% test that later in this video. And look, I'm gonna put in this big rock background. You see, the previous owner did give me these for free, saying they would fit perfectly, and he was right, because as you can see, I was able to wrap them around all sides of the enclosure, and they fit perfectly, so I spray foamed them all into place. And now, continuing with the rock theme, I'm gonna take some of these rocks and lay them down across the entire enclosure, which will basically separate the land and water areas in here. Since the water's gonna be on the side closest to the front, we wanna get some spray foam and block up all the little holes and gaps along the rocks, and before it's able to dry, I covered it in some smaller rocks and pebbles to hide the exposed foam. And since this tank is integrating water with land, the best way to symbolize that is to build a working waterfall, which I think I'm gonna do right here. Yep, you heard that right. So I started stacking rocks along this corner here because this is gonna be the hill where the waterfall will flow from. Now you might expect to make the waterfall work, it'll be complex, but all you need in reality is this little water pump thing. Basically, you just put that pump in the back corner and surround the extra space around it with some filter floss, which will make the waterfall also turn into a filter to keep the water clean. Then I lined some tubing from the pump up along the side of the hill, that way it was barely poking out the top of the rocks. Now you see, I actually did try to do a waterfall in a video about a year ago, and let's just say it didn't go so well at first. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. Well, I really hope I set up the pump in here correctly, so let's fill it up with water so we can test the waterfall. So I did that, plugged in the pump, and waited for it to start. Why is nothing happening? It should be going. Is it broken? Oh, well, it just went for a second. Wait, what? Oh, it's going again. Okay. Well, I mean, it's working. It's getting the water from the bottom to the top. So, yeah. It's kind of just splattering water all over me, though. I gotta turn this off. Thankfully, I was able to change a setting on the pump to make it less extreme, which made it a lot more calm and into a beautiful flowing waterfall. So finally, I glued a little bit of rocks along the top of the pump to hide it and drained out the dirty water. Well, thankfully, I got the waterfall working. So now it's time to finish up the floor and decorations in here. First of all, I wanted to fill the land section with these clay leaka balls. You see, the two sections are mostly separated by rocks, but just in case a little water leaks through, this leaka should absorb it, keeping the land nice and dry. Next, I cut out some window screen matching the exact dimensions of the land, and then put the dirt substrate on top of it. But this land area is looking pretty boring, so let's get the basics like some small rocks and wood inside. Then let's put in some of this fern moss to add some color. And this is a live moss I've never used before, and apparently when you spray it, it actually just starts growing really fast. So in just a matter of a couple days, the entire enclosure should be taken over by the moss. It should look pretty cool. And finally, I put a ton of these branches on the wall to fill in the empty spots at the top of the enclosure. All right, well, the land area is now all complete, and my favorite part is this little area I made under the waterfall. As you can see, it's nice and cozy in there, and the turtles will be able to set up camp in there. And now it's time for the water area, which is a little simpler because we just got to pour in sand, basically. And after getting a ton of that in, I put some gravel up against the edge of the rock, so it faded that rock texture into the sand texture. And finally, we can't forget more rocks.
baby. Yeah, pretty much this entire riverbed is just made up of sand and rocks. Pretty simple.
Alright, the base of the tank is now complete, and after filling it with water, it looked even better, with of course the beautiful waterfall now flowing. I got out all the plants and put some of them along the land section. It was mostly just some small plants to add some greenery, but in the water portion, I put in all the water plants, which definitely brought the whole thing to life a little bit more.
And now the final step to finishing this enclosure is the cleanup crew. And you'll see what I mean by that in a second, but let's go to Petco. We need to get something that's gonna eat up any algae that grows in the water. And in this tank here, you can see there's some aquatic nerite snails. Yeah, those little things there. Let me get them in a bag.
And after getting those snails bagged up, I of course had to buy a couple containers of springtails, which I could put on the land and would eat any mold that grows in that moist dirt in the enclosure.
Oh yes, I'm happy they had these in stock. Let's buy these too.
When I got home, I first let the little springtails loose, and they all scurried around in their own directions and took cover amongst all the dirt and leaves.
But oh, now it's time for the snails. Let's just put these guys in, and there we go.
Now the reason I chose this species of nerite snails is because they can't actually have babies in fresh water. You see, a big problem with most snail species is they'll have like a million babies, which causes the whole tank to get overrun. So thankfully with these guys, that's not gonna happen. To finish off the tank, I put in a water heater, a water oxygenator, and some heat and UV bulbs at the top so the right parameters would all be met.
And of course the waterfall I built in the back should mostly filter the water, but just in case it gets too dirty, I've also got this tiny little filter.
Well, this place is now 100% complete and definitely is a big improvement from the trash I bought it as. And I'd say the enclosure is ready for the turtle. Let's get it in.
Oh buddy, I got a big surprise for you. I know I've kept you in this temporary tank for a day, boy, but it was worth it because look at what I just built for you. There you go, boy. Welcome to your new home.
Right away, the turtle climbed up onto the land to take a second to admire his new home. Then he jumped in the water and swam right up to a snail to try and start eating it, which wasn't possible, of course, because of the shell, so he kind of gave up.
Well, dang, clearly this guy's hungry, and I already know he has some crazy hunting tactics for worms. Let's just warm the turtle up to worms by feeding him some of these bloodworms.
Now, you may already know this, but bloodworms come in these little packets and are frozen. But when they're put in water, they start to thaw out and scatter worms all over the place. So I waved them around in front of him like everything else, and immediately he snapped at it and basically ate them whole. Out of everything I had fed him so far, it seemed like he was enjoying this the most. So it was time to upgrade them with some giant nightcrawler worms now. You see, what I did was let a few go down into the dirt on the land area to hide in there. Then I got another worm and waved it around in front of the turtle to convince him to come up to the surface. Once he was there, I waited hoping he would do something, but he kind of just stood there, not stomping on the floor to convince the worms to come up. I even waved a worm in front of his head, and when he didn't show any interest, I put a whole pile of worms in front of him, which he still didn't care about. I guess for some reason he's only hungry in the water. So after he jumped back in, I waved a worm in front of him again, and literally instantly, yeah, he grabbed it and for like 3 minutes battled with it to eat the whole thing up. It was pretty funny to watch, actually. You see, normally these wood turtles are supposed to do this: stomp on the ground, which simulates raindrops, which for some reason causes the worms to surface. And when they do, the turtle gets a nice tasty meal.
But I guess my guy's a little bit lazy and he doesn't want to do that. But that's okay because he's cute. Who's your good boy? Who's your good boy? You don't have to be scared of me.
These are the normal food you feed your turtle. Nothing crazy, but they provide some alright nutrients. Right away, he picked up the scent and ate one of them. Then he continued to eat a bunch more. In fact, he was loving it so much that I even tried to do some tricks with him by dropping a pellet into his mouth. And yeah, he doesn't really have a good reaction time.
Okay, I've got a little cricket doused in calcium powder, which I'm just gonna go and put on the land. You gonna walk out? There you go.
You see, the calcium powder on this cricket not only makes it stand out more, but it also provides the nutrients to keep the turtle shelled nice and strong. Now, at first, it was just crawling around the land, so I knocked it in the water where the turtle, then it ate it. I didn't even get to capture the strike on camera since it was so fast, but yeah, you can see he thoroughly enjoyed it and even ate some scraps off the floor.
Okay, this guy likes to get his protein in. I like that. But he also has to get his fruits and veggies, or I guess just veggies. But I'm gonna try and feed him this carrot. Let's see what happens.
So I waved it in front of him for a second until he gave it a bit of interest underwater. He went up to it and bit it a couple times, but each time he bit it, he would just end up letting go. I guess his bite wasn't strong enough to cut off the carrot, so I cut a little piece off myself and put it in front of him. He then bit it, gave it a little taste, and ultimately just spat it back out. He's just like me, leaving his vegetables on the plate as he swam away. Well, anyways, it was fun transforming the enclosure from what it was to this, which I think turned out really good.
This is an Asian forest scorpion.
But right now, he's living in a pet store with a small cage, no water, and he literally just has dirt. So I'm gonna spend $500 to give this scorpion the dream life he deserves. I want to give him unlimited food, an actual diverse ecosystem, and I even want to simulate weather events that the scorpion can experience in the wild. I actually had to build it from scratch because apparently the people who made it were too lazy to do that themselves. Anyways, I have tons of materials to build all sorts of stuff for this enclosure. But firstly, I'm gonna create the rainforest backdrop. These scorpions live in the jungle and the wild, so I'm gonna build the jungle in his enclosure. To start this off, I need to load some silicone into my gun and cover the whole back of the glass with it like this. Then I got a ton of spider wood and put it along the back to represent tree branches. Now you might be wondering how I'm gonna make this wood stick to the back. Well, let me introduce you to spray foam. Basically, we're just going to... and boom. You might be thinking this looks ugly, and well, that's because it is. But to fix that, I'm gonna cut off some of the foam with a knife and put in some more silicone. And you might still be thinking this looks ugly. Well, to fix that, I'm gonna sprinkle some coconut fiber on it. And there we go. This is starting to look, okay. But the whole backdrop will really come to life once I fill these tiny pots that I also put here up with beautiful plants. But before doing that, we need to first design the floor portion of the terrarium. To start, we're filling up the bottom with a bunch of balls. Clay balls, to be exact. This is gonna be our drainage layer to make sure there won't be any mold outbreaks in the scorpion's dream home. Because you know, that would probably be bad. Anyways, I cut out some window screen and put that above the balls so I could fill it up with some substrate. We're gonna need at least 6 inches of substrate in order for the scorpion to be able to dig little burrows for himself. Which, if you remember, the pet store scorpion had barely an inch of dirt. He is probably so sad. So, let's finish his dream home. Asian forest scorpions love coconut fiber, so I'm mostly using that. But I'm also gonna mix in some wood chips and sphagnum moss with it to make it look more natural. Wow. But the floor wouldn't be completed without some decorations. So first, I put in some cork bark and moss, which scorpions love to hide under. I also added a little shallow water tray so the scorpion could get a nice drink of water without drowning. Finally, I sprinkled some rocks around for good measure. This is starting to look really good. Psych, it's about to look 10 times better because now I'm adding in the plants. Remember, these scorpions are from the Asian rainforest. So to replicate that, I'm gonna find the most colorful plants I can. Off to the flower shop I go. I'll be there soon. And of course, I went to the best place to get plants, Walmart.
Place your item.
Now, surprisingly, they actually did have a few pretty nice colorful plants, so I picked out some that I liked. And I got some deodorant too. Not for the scorpion or anything, you know, I just needed some. Anyways, this is what I got. And I started by adding some of the smaller plants onto the backdrop. And then I planted the rest into the floor area. The chunk of the rainforest was now complete, but while it's pretty, it's definitely not a dream home. In order to make it a dream home, we need to spoil the poor scorpion by creating custom technology in his enclosure, like a literal insect dispenser that will deliver live insects straight into his mouth, plus even more, but we'll start with the insect dispenser. Now, to be honest, I basically have zero skills at building stuff, so I'm definitely not making some fully automatic crazy wired machine. Yeah, sorry. But what I will be doing is making a fun little slide for insects to slide down straight into their doom. To do this, I got a small acrylic tube and used some silicone to stick it at an angle to the wall. This will let me drop little feeding insects in, then watch them ride the slide of death. But to make sure there's a 0% chance the insects escape, I'm spraying some slippery Fluon stuff along the inside of it so they can't even grip on if they wanted to. I also have some other technology to put into the dream home, like this Repti fogger. To use it, I basically just attach it to the side of the terrarium like this, and then I fill up the reservoir with water. Now when I turn it on, it does this. Wow, very cool. I mean, that's not needed or anything, but it makes the tank look really cool and rainforesty. For the final step of the dream home, I bought tiny little bugs called isopods that I'm letting loose into the enclosure.
Come on, get out. Get out.
Isopods are basically the holy grail of bioactive terrariums because they do everything from cleaning up waste to stopping mold outbreaks. I mean, the scorpion will probably eat them, but it's worth putting them in because of all of their benefits. Well, I'd say this is pretty good for the dream home. Now it's time to surprise that Asian forest scorpion. So I went to the same pet store and sure enough, it was still there, just laying there very depressingly. I'm gonna save you. And of course, saving the scorpion meant forking up $21 so I could buy it.
Let's go, baby.
Remember, I built all of this stuff for the scorpion, so I want to see how he reacts once I let him in. But before adding in the scorpion, I figured I should probably give it a name so I could stop referring to it as just the scorpion. And since scorpions are so menacing and scary with their venomous stingers and sharp claws, it's gonna need a menacing name to match. So everyone, please say hello to Sir Fluffsalot. Isn't he so cute? Anyways, I was having trouble putting Sir Fluffsalot into his new home, so I had to resort to putting on gloves because I was too scared of getting stung.
Get off. No. Don't climb that. Do not climb out. Let go. Let go. Let go.
Eventually, I was able to push him out into his dream home, and he absolutely loved it. Okay, to be fair, I don't know if he actually loved it, but he probably did, because he was, like, walking around and stuff. Anyways, now I want to utilize the insect dispenser, a dubia roach, and maybe he'll eat that. Roaches move around a lot more than mealworms, so this may activate Sir Fluffsalot predator instincts more. The dubia roaches scurried in towards the center of the ecosystem, right where the scorpion was resting. And apparently this roach here is extremely stupid, because he literally walked over to the scorpion and started to climb on it. Sir Fluffsalot tried to warn the roach by giving it a little kick, but the roach didn't really understand that it was standing right next to its death right now, and literally tried to climb into the scorpion's mouth. But despite all of this, Sir Fluffsalot simply did not attack or eat the dubia roach, a mealworm. Mealworms will probably be pretty easy to catch because they like barely even move.
Bruh.
So I dropped some down the slide of doom and immediately the scorpion noticed. He slowly approached the stupid worms and... what? Okay, apparently he's just stepping on them and isn't even eating them. So I did some research to try and figure out why. And, oh, I'm stupid. You see, scorpions are nocturnal, so most of the day they actually spend sleeping and typically prefer to only hunt at night. And honestly, I don't understand why scorpions get to sleep the whole day, because when I sleep the whole day, I get called lazy and unproductive. But that's besides the point. It seems like Sir Fluffsalot was just trying to get some sleep. So instead, I waited until night and then dropped the final and juiciest prey in, crickets. Now Fluffy was ready to hunt. You may not see him now, but that's because he's sitting in his evil lair right behind a branch. I'm pretty sure he's waiting for innocent prey to stumble into a little hole he dug out right here, and then he'll kill them. Or maybe he's just still sleeping. But after a little while, a clueless cricket walked straight into it and couldn't get out. The cricket thought he was safe, but little did he know that the apex predator Sir Fluffsalot was watching his every move. When the time was right, Sir Fluffsalot leaped in and killed the cricket. Ooh, that's brutal. Fluffy now had a tasty meal for tonight to take back to his lair. The next morning, I wanted to test the fog machine with the Asian forest scorpions, so I turned that on and fog started to roll in. Honestly, I was expecting Sir Fluffsalot to react to the fog or something, but he kinda just sat there. Oh well, this machine will still be useful to make sure I can control the humidity levels and make sure the ecosystem has all the correct conditions. Sir Fluffsalot went from a tiny depressing little box to a big beautiful rainforest that mimics his natural environment. He seems to be enjoying himself, and he's gonna make a good addition to my pet collection. By the way, there are billions of lizards alive across the world, but out of all of them, one species stands out as unique.
What the hell, what?
Chameleons. You see, chameleons have the ability to be bred to have extremely rare color patterns, like a literal rainbow. But I just came across the rarest color variation that I have never seen before. This beautiful red and blue chameleon that literally looks like a Nintendo Switch. Just to represent how rare this is, let's say there's a billion lizards on Earth and about 1,000 of those are a chameleon with this exact color morph. That would mean there is a 0.0000001% chance of this existing. And sure, it may cost $899, but this is gonna easily be one of my coolest pets ever. And once I get it, I'll show off some special abilities of chameleons that many of you have probably never seen before. But it's gonna take a few days until it gets shipped out to my house. So in the meantime, I probably should build up an enclosure for the chameleon with everything it could possibly need to live an amazing life. And of course, to build that, I'm gonna need the giant 120-gallon terrarium and hundreds of dollars worth of supplies. But to start the build, the only thing we actually need is some dead leaves and bark. You see, to make the floor for a chameleon, you don't want to use normal materials like dirt. This is because chameleons have these special tongues that when they're shot out, they'll pick up stuff like dirt on the floor and eat it, which will make the chameleon sick. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. So even though this floor is super simple, it's actually perfect. But of course, the rare Nintendo Switch chameleon I'm getting is gonna need a lot more than this in its enclosure. Yeah, this is just definitely not enough. So for step number 2, I got a whole bunch of wooden branches. Now, as you can see, I installed these 2 metal bars going across the enclosure, which I'll start by covering in the branches I have. I made sure to make the branches reach all along the top of the enclosure, the bottom, the sides, and literally everywhere. And after they were secured in place with zip ties and foam, I covered up most of that ugly stuff with some moss and leaves. So it doesn't look like a 5-year-old made this anymore. I also got a bunch of these vine things, which are basically these long bendable rubber sticks that recreate the look of jungle vines, and they curve all around the enclosure.
Okay, if I'm being honest, this does look a little bit cluttered and messy right now. But trust me, coming up in this video, I got some stuff planned that's gonna make this, you know, actually look good and be an actually good enclosure.
And plus, all these branches and vines are actually very necessary to allow the chameleon to climb and swing around the entire enclosure. And don't worry guys, because I'll be getting plants to cover up these big ugly foam things in the corner. Speaking of plants, I should probably put some in here since that's the next step to finishing this amazing home.
Alright, so obviously I've got plants now, but you'd be stupid if you think I'm just gonna put these straight into the enclosure. Oh no, 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 no. I'm going to make these plants way, way better.
And what I mean by that is I'm gonna make them look extra cool with some animal safe red and blue paint. Yeah, I'm gonna paint these plant pots to be the same color as the chameleon I'm getting. I don't know why, I just think it'll look cool, okay? Yeah, I did this on every plant pot, it took forever. But after letting the paint dry for a few hours, I started to scatter the plants along the floor and sides of the enclosure. And in no time, I was done.
And check this out. This looks, I mean, it looks alright. I mean, the plants and everything look fine, but maybe the blue and red pots were not the best idea. The paint kind of started to fade. It's not even blue anymore, but it's still pretty funny, and I bet the chameleon's gonna like to see some of the stuff of his same color. So, anyways, I gotta get to the next step. Let's just go to the next step right now. Let's go to the next step.
Okay, anyways, on the to-do list, there's 2 more steps to make this a chameleon dream home, starting with some basic technology. And what this means is I've got a bunch of technology like this light bulb, which is necessary, but to be honest, it's nothing special. This light bulb in specific generates heat, and as you can see, right in the basking spot under the heat lamp, it reaches up to 90 degrees, which is perfect. And of course, in a cooler part of the enclosure, it reaches about 70 degrees, so the chameleon won't get too hot or nothing. You know, we don't want the chameleon to get heat stroke. And finally, I set up a simple water misting system, which, you know, you just press a button and it starts spraying water all around the enclosure. Yeah, pretty simple, but it's very necessary. But another basic technology you need is a long UVB light bulb, which recreates the same UV rays the sun does. And basically, this lets the chameleon get vitamin D or something. Okay, well, now that the boring technology is over, let's get some fun, custom, advanced technology in this enclosure. At the start, I got this big, cool blue thing. So I bought this egg-looking one, which I had an idea for how I could use in the chameleon enclosure. So I pressed a button to open it up, and inside was, this thing.
What the heck is this? Okay, I guess inside there's a Mr. Beast toy that makes that annoying noise. Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, but I guess let me just put this inside the chameleon enclosure, and there we go. If you're wondering why I put this in here, well, I was just thinking I want to give the chameleon a nice friend, and, you know, this is kind of animal looking thing, so, okay, I'm sorry, this is stupid. Let's just go to the next technology.
And now next on the to-do list, this one is even cooler than the last.
Alright, so for the second thing I'm adding in here, basically, I just wanted to make it look more like a home. And as you know, most homes have paintings around their house because that's just what homes have. So I'm gonna add my own custom painting inside of here.
And to get the custom image made, I asked AI to make a picture of a red and blue chameleon wearing a suit.
And, oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, we're gonna put this painting inside the chameleon's home. Oh, this is gonna be pretty cool.
So I drove to the printing store and printed the image out, hoping no one around me would see me getting these stupid looking paintings.
Bruh.
And there we go. Check it out. This looks pretty. I mean the painting looks kind of cool, but I don't really know why I added this either. It's a little useless, but anyways, this entire enclosure is actually pretty much finished. I don't know anything else I can add to it, so I guess it's just time to add the rare red and blue chameleon inside. Let's just cut to then. So as you can see, I got the lizard right here, and I don't know what I'm doing outside. I should probably just go put him in the enclosure.
So I opened up the package and immediately was amazed by its beauty.
Oh my gosh, this thing looks super cool. Okay, wait, this is easily gonna be my coolest looking pet.
The only thing to do was open the lid and let it crawl out when it was ready. And of course, it went straight to doing its stupid chameleon dance.
Well, what the hell, what?
Now, as you can see, the colors on it right now are sort of darker than what they should be. And that's because currently it's a bit stressed from just getting out of the shipping container. Coming up, I'll be explaining exactly how chameleons change color and why by showing you guys this rare lizard. But for now, I want to show the amazing ability that chameleons have to hunt prey from literally across the enclosure.
So, yeah, that's what I'm gonna be feeding him today.
So I waited a few hours before putting any crickets in to allow the chameleon to adjust to his new home. And as you can see, soon enough, his color started to brighten up, and that means he's ready to hunt.
Come on, crickets, get out, get out. There we go. Yeah, get out.
I put a few of the crickets inside, and at first they sort of just started to mind their own business, just walking around looking for food, you know. But little did they know that they are about to become food for this guy.
Hi, how are you?
Now, the first ability chameleons have for hunting is their eyes. As you can see, both of his eyes are able to move in different directions, constantly scanning everywhere around him in front and behind at the same time. And it wasn't long until the chameleon set one of his eyes on one of the little crickets. He started to move into attack position very slowly. Yeah, chameleons are so slow, they're basically sloths. Yeah, whenever this chameleon was within a couple feet of a cricket, it locked onto the target and shot its tongue directly towards it. And because the tongue is so sticky, it just brought the cricket in with it so it could enjoy a nice, tasty meal. And after seeing how cool it was when the chameleon, and while this cricket thought he was safe, little did he know what was about to happen. Chameleon's second ability, their insane tongue that's over a foot long. Hunted, I got a funny idea.
Okay, you see this cricket here? I'm gonna get this onto my hand like that. And then I'm literally gonna try and feed the chameleon from my hand. You can see it's right there. It just jumped off. Okay, take two. We're gonna put this right next to the chameleon's mouth. And there we go, that's the perfect spot. Eat it, bro. Eat it. I wanna see this thing eat from my hand so bad. It's literally right in front of you. Hello? You're just gonna watch it? It's crawling all around my hand. You have the perfect opportunity, and you're not doing it. And okay, I think the chameleon's just walking away at this point. I guess he doesn't really want to eat from my hand. I'm sorry, cricket, but I'm just gonna, you're gonna get eaten.
Anyways, I should probably name this rare chameleon, and like I said earlier, this thing has the exact same colors as a Nintendo Switch. So I'm gonna name my chameleon Switch. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty creative name, I know. Anyways, now I'm gonna show you guys exactly how chameleons change color, and it might actually be pretty surprising changing colors. And while this viral video is actually very cool to watch, it is completely fake. Yeah, chameleons can't actually control their colors like that, and in reality, they only have the ability to become slightly darker or slightly brighter. This happens because of super tiny cells in their skin that can get bigger or smaller depending on certain conditions like heat. You see, when I first put Switch in the enclosure, he immediately ran up to the heat lamp and sat under it, which made his color change to be way brighter. Anyway, Switch is very cool, and I've only just scratched the surface of chameleon care. I might even end up doing another video where I breed Switch and another rare female chameleon to get an ultra rare chameleon. There is a 1 in 73 million % chance that a snake is born with 2 heads. But by some miracle, some of these snakes are able to survive and are able to learn to live with 2 different minds.
Now, normally it would be impossible to get one of these, but I just found this guy who has a pet 2-headed snake.
Hey TerraGreen, I'm Max, and this is Mario and Luigi, one of the rarest 2-headed snakes in the world. They're growing a little fast, and I need you to build them a new enclosure.
Well, Max, I can definitely do that. So in this video, I'm going to create a dream home paradise and put the 2-headed snake inside. Now, there's not much documented research around 2-headed snakes, so this video will be a first for YouTube, showing off everything about them. Now, because this is for one of the largest 2-headed snakes in the world, I got out a massive enclosure. And to start the build, we need to create the rainforest background. To do this, I covered the whole back glass with some spray foam, which would allow me to stick tons of large pieces of wood to it. You see, I'm trying to make a lush rainforest in here, since that's where the 2-headed snake species lives in the wild. To finish the look, I covered it in dirt and other rainforesty materials.
Alright, this actually looks cool how it wraps around the entire enclosure. But anyways, now using moss bricks, I'm going to fill in the floor of this enclosure. But also I'm going to use these slabs of moss and also some wood chip stuff. Yeah.
Now with this concoction of stuff, I'm gonna add in a big tub of water, which will get entirely absorbed by these bricks. And yeah, you've probably already seen this before, but after mixing it, boom, we now had the whole floor in there completed.
Anyways, this is where it gets fun because you see, two-headed snakes are so unique. So in this enclosure, I need to make special accommodations to, you know, accommodate how crazy they are. But the first thing being these things.
These are 2 rock water bowls, which I put inside of the enclosure. I just figured that the 2 heads are gonna want their own fresh water bowl, so they don't have to share. So yeah, pretty good. Anyways, I do just have to put some normal decorations around the water bowls to make this place look more like a rainforest. And I thought it'd be cool to spread a bunch of this leaf litter along the floor to make it look like all those leaves fell from the trees above. Now,
Using this, I just figured out a new trick to make climbing vines.
you see, first you get a bunch of this rope, not too thick, but also not too thin. Then you load up some silicone into a gun and get to spraying it all over the rope. After spreading it all around, you can add in a bunch of dirt and other vine stuff, and after mixing it, you will get a DIY vine.
And because the silicone on this hardens up a pretty good amount, it's gonna let me bend it around all the branches. That way we can get this hooked up everywhere along the top section.
So that's exactly what I did, putting it around every corner so Mario and Luigi would be able to climb to their heart's content. Now to finish off the decorations, I put in a snake hide because pretty much every snake species needs that. But because we're of course putting a 2-head snake in here, I used some foam to put a little divider here because I want to see if Mario and Luigi pop out both their heads. That way they can scan for prey separately.
All right, the floor looks all good now, but now I want to scatter some plants up in the tree area to finalize that rainforest look. So you already know, let's go drive to the plant store, baby. Oh my gosh, I just drove to a Home Depot I've never been to before. And look at this. This is the craziest plant section I've ever seen. Okay, I'm gonna pick out some of these colorful ones. Let me get some of these green ones. And oh man, this is just amazing.
So I went around and picked out the coolest ones I could find and then checked them out. When I got home, I of course got them out and scattered them all around the upper and lower parts of the enclosure. And then using my hot glue gun, I attached tons of draping vines and even got out some moss like I do in all my enclosures to glue around everywhere as well.
Okay, this place is super green and luscious now. It looks really good. But to finish it off, we gotta put some technology into this enclosure.
First of all, this thing, which is a rainforest spray system, so we can make this really into a rainforest. It was pretty easy to set up. I just attached the sprayers in the corner and used some glue to cover the water tubing. And now when you go down here and click the button I attached to the side of the enclosure, boom, shakalaka, it's now raining. Pretty cool. Okay, the next technology is just a simple LED light strip, which I attached to the top of the enclosure and plugged in.
It isn't anything too crazy, but I just think the pink at the top contrasts pretty well with all the green around the enclosure. So yeah, I like it. That looks good.
Well, now that I'm done with this rainforest enclosure, I can now be one of the first YouTubers to show off such an insane, never seen before creature. Well, Max lives in another city, so the next day he drove a couple hours to come pick me and the enclosure up so we could of course put the snake inside.
Yo, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Max, the man, the myth, the legend. You are the person that probably owns the top 5 like rarest snakes in the world, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, the 2-headed snake. Well, anyways, let's not waste any time. Just check out this enclosure I built for them.
Alright, already this exceeds my expectation completely.
Yeah, really? You like it?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah, I tried to make it look like just like a crazy rainforest. You know, all the plants green everywhere.
Oh my god.
All right, but I did forget one thing actually. Right under this towel, come take a look at this.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi little figures.
Alright, I like that.
Where should we put them? Just right there?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
You want them together or you want them separate?
I guess the snakes are together,
yeah,
right?
That's true, yeah.
All right.
Alright, I can't. This looks so cool. Let's get it back to my place.
Yeah, let's go put those 2-head snakes in.
Yeah, let's put Mario and Luigi in.
So we got the enclosure in his car and drove a few hours back to his house. After bringing it inside, I set up the camera stuff and got the enclosure ready while Max went to pick up Mario and Luigi.
Alright, come over here. I want to show you something.
Oh, you want to show me something? Is Mario and Luigi in here?
Yeah, but before I show you them, I want you to realize how rare they are and how special they are, like that they're still alive. Alright, yes they are.
Where?
Right
Oh,
here.
okay.
So we got the 2-headed snake's current enclosure out, and immediately we opened up the lid to reveal the beauty inside. Mario and Luigi right there in front of my eyes, just chilling around.
This is something that shouldn't exist in this species. 2 heads in 1 body.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This thing is like majestical.
If you think that's crazy, wait till we feed them. Watching them eat live is crazy.
And yes, eating with 2 heads means sometimes they will both separately try to eat eat the same food. And it's one of the most interesting things in all of nature. But as you can see, Max has been keeping them in this enclosure. And while it may look basic, it's actually not bad. Two-headed snakes are super delicate creatures, and it's best not to have anything too complex in the place where they sleep. He pulled out the container that actually had the mom that gave birth to the two-headed snake, and he told me normally for a two-headed snake to be born, a snake's egg has the chance for twins to be inside, but then there's a super rare chance that there's a birth defect that causes the twins to only partially split, causing it to have two different snake heads in one body.
The reason why Mario and Luigi are way crazier is because they're boas and they give live birth.
So that's a boa and that gives live birth?
Yes, meaning all the stuff that we just explained happens in the mother's stomach.
So yeah, one day this mom just gave birth to a two-headed snake. And as you can see in these pictures, it's a little disgusting when they're born, a bunch of slime and stuff everywhere. But despite all odds, Mario and Luigi were born that day and were perfectly functioning as a normal snake.
I want to show you how Mario's personality is different.
Yeah.
Just having my finger in front of him.
Oh yeah, Mario's definitely getting a lot more like agitated. The one on the left, Luigi, like he's just chilling. Mario's
Smelling my finger and Mario doesn't want to smell. He just means business.
That is crazy. But you're just like fine getting your finger like that. I would not do that. You're just crazy.
Now finally, before feeding them, Max insisted on me holding the two-headed snake to get that experience.
I mean, I don't really know how to do this though.
Pick them up from their end.
Okay, so we just want to start. Oh, they're kind of getting mad at me. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh. Okay, so we just pick them up and then
Slide your hand underneath.
They're not gonna bite me. Ooh. Okay, so I'm picking up a two-head snake. How many people can say they've done this, huh?
Not a lot.
Yeah, this is crazy.
As you saw, I was very scared at first, but eventually they really mellowed out and they started to crawl all over me. And yeah, they even did some crazy acrobats. That's pretty impressive, actually. But now it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for, watching the two heads eat. So to do that, we got out a tiny little mouse.
All right, it's time to feed it the mouse, and this is just freshly killed, right? This is from your little mouse
pre-killed.
farm. Okay, let's see what they do. Oh, he just immediately went and grabbed it. This is so cool. So while Luigi's eating, Mario's just sitting there. And do you think Mario, does he usually eat less than Luigi?
Definitely. Mario eats probably once a month, while Luigi eats every week.
So for about 10 minutes, Luigi tried to get a good hold of the mouse and swallow it. But it was so interesting because Mario kept going about his day, just slithering around, while Luigi was still trying to swallow the mouse.
That is so crazy how Mario's just like kind of doing his own thing. Luigi's trying to swallow. Like, why is this happening?
It's two snakes in one body, so Mario's trying to move while Luigi's trying to eat.
But eventually, Luigi started to get the hang of it and got the whole thing into his mouth and down his stomach. And if you thought that wasn't cool enough, a couple days later, we got this insane footage of both the snakes eating. First of all, we put some mice in front of both of them, and like always, Luigi grabbed his, but Mario missed. But as Luigi started to swallow, Mario got bored and started to just grab onto the mouse as well. It was crazy watching Mario just latch on while Luigi stuffed it down his mouth. They even started to sort of fight with each other and drag it around the entire enclosure. So to make sure nothing bad happened, we tried to feed Mario again, and thankfully this time he took the little mouse and everything was good. Well,
Okay, you're just gonna go straight and pick it up. Okay, you're not even scared of getting bit at all?
I mean, it could happen, but once you pick them up, they calm down. They realize that you mean no harm.
Oh, that's cool. Oh man, they're chill. They're just sitting there.
so Max put them in, and apparently Mario and Luigi have never seen an enclosure as natural as this, so right away they got to exploring.
This is so interesting. So do these two heads, do they both control the body?
Yeah, they kind of struggle.
So which one's on the left? So
That's Luigi.
That's Luigi. So Luigi's trying to go left, and Mario on the right, he's trying to go right. So it's like, they're kind of like stumped.
Now this is actually a pretty common problem for two-headed snakes, but since Mario and Luigi are over a year old, they know how to handle this and continue moving on together. Now Max wanted to prove Mario and Luigi were good at climbing, so he picked them up and put them in the tree area.
But usually, is this boa like species good at climbing?
Yeah, they're pretty arboreal.
Okay.
And immediately Mario and Luigi started to work together to climb around. And Max was right, they were pretty good and got around with no problems whatsoever.
Another interesting thing about Mario and Luigi is they each have their own personality.
Luigi's on the left, so Luigi is what's his personality
He's
like?
definitely more go with the flow, more your typical boa. He's more relaxed.
Okay.
And then Mario over here is kind of feistier.
I already know Mario and Luigi are going to love this new rainforest. Bed bugs are tiny parasites that hide in your bed and suck your blood while you sleep. A website that will literally sell you 10 bed bugs.
Now, I don't think these are meant to be kept as pets, but hey, $20, what could go wrong? Let's just buy these.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, document exactly what it's like to have bed bugs as pets, and literally feed them my own blood at the end of the video. Yes, I'm not kidding. I don't know why I'm gonna do this to myself. Anyways, until the bed bugs got delivered, I got out an enclosure to build their home.
Now, I'm pretty sure there's no documented case of anyone keeping bed bugs as a pet, so I figured out what they need myself. Yeah, all these supplies are for the bed bugs.
Anyways, first up, I started to pour some coconut fiber dirt into the enclosure for step number 1, the floor. You see, for most of the floor, we want to use this dirt material, but that's not it. We actually want to pour a layer of sand on top of it, just like this. You see, I'm doing this because bed bugs would be almost impossible to spot if they were just on dirt, but on the sand, I should be able to see them perfectly.
And I really got to make sure I keep track of every bed bug, because if they escape, let's just say I'm not going to be sleeping too well. Why am I doing this?
Anyways, I finished off the floor by creating some little sand mounds in the back that I would soon be able to cover in decorations. And speaking of decorations, for step number 2, we're gonna put in the natural decorations. For those, I got out some simple stuff like cork bark, spider wood, and some gray stones, and strategically placed them around in the sand. I even stacked a few pieces of wood in this corner and covered the top in some moss to make it look like a tree. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm an expert designer, as you could tell.
And all this stuff is gonna be perfect because bed bugs like to hide under tight little spaces just like these, which is also why they like to hide under mattresses. Yeah, it's pretty cozy under there.
To finish off the natural decorations, I planted a bit more moss around just to add some more color and bring the whole thing to life. Alright, now for the next step, it's time for the artificial decorations.
And basically what that means is I literally want to build a mini bed from scratch to put in the middle of this enclosure to see if the bed bugs will prefer to hide under natural decorations or if they really just love beds. So I'm gonna buy some fabric and then I'm gonna fill that fabric with cotton. Then I'm gonna sew the ends of it together and probably it'll look something like a bed, but I don't know if it's actually gonna work because I've never really properly sewed before, but yeah.
Anyways, I grabbed all the materials needed and drove home.
So anyways, like I was saying at Walmart, we first just put down the fabric like this. And I said I was gonna use cotton, but I found something that would work even better, which is this giant like foam board.
And so with that foam, I cut out a bed shape, then cut the fabric and got to sewing. Honestly, I had no idea what I was doing. I was kind of just threading the string through randomly, and it ended up looking pretty trash. And eventually the string came apart, so I decided I would just do it the old-fashioned way with some tape, and in no time it was done.
Now, of course, I'm gonna put this in the middle of the enclosure, but that's not all I'm gonna do. You see, the reason bed bugs love mattresses so much is because they smell like humans. So basically what I need to do is make this mini mattress smell like me. And I have the perfect idea for how to do that.
So I got out my bike helmet, lined a little towel rag along the front of it, put it on, and started to go for a bike ride.
So basically, I'm just gonna ride around for like 20 or 30 minutes, and that towel I put in my helmet should absorb all the sweat, and then I can just basically squeeze it on that little mini mattress. Yeah, I'm a genius, I know.
So I went on my little ride up and down some hills, you know, and when I got home, I took the rag off my helmet to see if it would work.
Okay, I think there's like a solid amount of sweat on this, so I guess let me just go and try and squeeze it on top of this. Come on, just get a little bit of sweat out. Oh, shoot. Okay, wait, that's actually a pretty good amount of sweat. Dang, wait. Okay, this is kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie. And there we go, it just kind of looks like someone peed in the bed now, but hey, this should smell like me now.
Well, now that the mattress is done, it's time to move on to the final step, which is a DIY technology. Now you see, bed bugs are attracted to an air molecule called CO2 because it's the same molecule that humans breathe out.
And since bed bugs love that smell so much, I'm gonna build my own custom CO2 emitter right there, and then I'll test to see if the bed bugs like go flock towards the smell. I don't know, it'll be cool though.
Now to make a CO2 emitter, you first gotta get out a nice large soda bottle and pour all the soda out. Well, technically you don't have to pour it out, it's just not healthy to drink that much soda, so yeah, that's why I'm pouring it out. Anyways, then you get the empty soda bottle and fill it up with some special ingredients. First, we fill it up almost entirely with water, and then add like 2 cups of sugar. And then the final step is to add some yeast in here, which is the same thing you use to bake bread.
Basically, all those ingredients I just added are gonna react and do some science, and basically, out the end of this tube that I attached, a bunch of CO2 is just gonna come out, and yeah, I'm just gonna see if the bed bugs go and smell it or something. I don't know.
Well, the bed bug enclosure is now finished, and that means it's time to add those nasty creatures inside and be the first person to have pet bed bugs. Literally doesn't have a roof. Well, I forgot one important step, escape proofing the enclosure.
But don't worry, because I've kept ants before, and I actually got this special serum for the ants that prevents them from escaping, and I'm just hoping that it'll do the same for the bed bugs.
Basically, you just get out a little cotton ball, put some of the special serum on the end, and rub it in along the top edges of the enclosure.
Alright, now even if the bed bugs are able to climb the glass, they're gonna climb up, and then they're gonna get to this stuff, and basically it's just super slippery, so they're just gonna slide right off. And then finally, I'm just gonna put this top on it just like that. That won't actually do anything because these holes are pretty sure too big. Yeah, the bugs could probably just fit through it.
All right, well, here they are, the bed bugs. They literally just got delivered, so thankfully they weren't sitting in the snow too long. But as you guys know, I'm not exactly too thrilled to be keeping these as a pet because like I said, I'm literally going to let them be sucking the blood out of my arm. I don't know why I do this, man. But let me just get them in the enclosure I built for them.
So I brought them to my table, cut the tape, and lifted the flaps.
Oh my gosh. I think they're inside of this thing in here. Okay, I guess let me just get this out. And bro, genuinely, if these things escape, my mom is going to be so mad.
And speaking of escape, you might be wondering, how will I prevent them from escaping? Considering the enclosure I made, opened the top of it, and dumped about half of the 10 inside of the enclosure. Immediately, one of the bed bugs started to scurry around his new home looking for cover and went straight into a dark spot under the nearest rock. But a few seconds later, I saw this bed bug and he actually ran straight over to the little bed mattress I had made. And after crawling on it for a minute, he set up camp in a little piece of cork bark right next to it. I guess the fact I had made the mattress smell just like me was working really well, because over the next minute, I saw 2 more of the bed bugs just chilling on the mattress too.
Dang, that's actually cool how they all just went onto this little mini mattress I made instead of all the other decorations. But to be honest, I've kind of already lost track of every single one I put in. Yeah, they're just so small.
But the reason bed bugs are so small is so they can go undetected while hiding in people's beds. And when they find a victim to suck the blood of, they can literally get more than double in size with how much they suck.
Anyways, bed bugs are nocturnal because obviously they feed on people at night. So in order to get them to suck my arm, I'm gonna bring my mom in here at night, show my new pet to her, and then get her to film me getting bit. This is not gonna be fun, but let's just go cut to then.
You have to guess what pet is in there based on the stuff.
I'm gonna guess. I'm thinking a spider.
A spider?
A spider.
Well, it's a bug, and I'm just gonna tell you what it is. It's, well, don't get mad at me, seriously. It's bed bugs.
No, it's not, dude.
Yes, it's pet bed bugs. That's funny.
That's not cool.
It's pretty funny. Okay.
No, dude.
Okay, so to attract the bed bugs, I built this little contraption. Basically, I just take that off, and I'm just gonna pour some of this stuff. It's yeast. But basically, this is gonna have a chemical reaction in this bottle, and after I shake it up, it's basically gonna produce carbon dioxide, which is CO2. I'm just gonna leave this tube here, and we'll just see if any bed bugs come out, so you can see them. Wait. Do you see that?
Oh my god.
Wait. Right, no, there actually is one right there. Do you see that? It's like a little tiny orange thing.
Yes.
Oh, that's a bed bug.
Oh my god, you're so crazy.
But the good thing is you're not gonna have to deal with them because, well, I have to tell you something. You remember the other day I got a leech and I let it suck on my arm?
Yes.
I have to do that with the bed bugs.
No.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
They
well-
don't feed off of your arm.
Yeah, they suck your blood.
Oh my god, they do not.
So basically I've collected about, I think, 4 of the bed bugs in this jar. Well, I just gotta roll up my sleeve, I guess, and we're gonna feed them.
Oh my gosh.
Alright, so, well, I guess let me just start. We're just gonna tip the jar like that and slowly let them crawl out. Okay, there's one on my arm right there.
Oh
Let's
my
just
god,
test it
dude.
with one.
Yeah, we're just doing one.
Just with
No,
2.
just do 2. Don't do any more than that.
That's okay. We need to get all 4
No,
of
we
them.
do not. No. Okay, put them back. That's it.
Why?
Because they're crawling and I'm not getting them anywhere else in this house.
It's okay, they'll bite me. So basically they can pick up the scent immediately of what my arm is like, and I'm pretty sure these 3 are already all biting me.
Oh my
This one's
God,
just
dude.
the one that hasn't bit yet.
Soon enough, all 4 were biting, and basically all I felt was a little bit of a prick. The pain wasn't anything crazy though. But over the next 10 minutes, my mom and I would watch them fill up with my blood.
Alright, so I just took the camera from you, and as you can see, I think they're starting to fill up. Is this weird?
Yeah, super weird. Oh, you can see them fill up with blood?
Yeah, if you look closely at their bodies, like you remember how they were super thin, now they're kind of getting a little thicker, and it should start to turn red soon. Oh, they already are actually.
Disgusting.
Oh, do you see that one?
Ew.
It's starting to move.
No.
That means it's done.
Oh my god,
So
good.
basically what you do when it's done,
All of them in the jar.
it's okay, we'll get it, don't worry.
You see, basically when they start moving, that's when they're done feeding. So I put 2 of them back in the jar since they were done. Then a couple minutes later, another one finished, and then the final one a few minutes after that.
Alright, and then the last one is in its jar. We're done. That's how you feed your pet bed bugs.
Oh, right. Don't ever do this, anyone.
Alright, Old Fish Tank has a live fish and frogs.
And just look at this monstrosity. Yeah, this is not even a fish tank. The water is straight up black, and somehow it says there's fish and frogs alive in that. How is that even possible? I need to save those guys.
So in this video, I'm gonna buy that tank, completely revamp it into the best fish tank ever, and save the fish and frogs that are somehow still alive inside of it. So first, I had to, of course, drive out to the cellar and fork up the $20 needed to buy it. You see, normally a fish tank for $20 would be a good deal, but this thing has a whole list of problems. But anyways, it's mine now, so we're just gonna go take it home and, you know, run some diagnostics. We're just gonna see if these fish are gonna be able to survive. Let's go. As soon as I got home, I got out some water testing strips. And after swishing them around, I figured out that there was a bunch of problems with the current water. I needed to get the fish and frogs out of there as soon as possible. So I quickly got a temporary tank, built it up, and added some healthy quick start bacteria to make it safe for the fish. And of course, I can't scoop the fish out of this straight up sewage water. Yeah, I can't even see through it. So I quickly set up a filter, and after a few hours, I was able to see through the water.
All right, it's 100% clear now, and if there's fish in here, I'm gonna scoop it out with this net. Oh, did you just see that right there? It's a good thing these are still alive. Let me get you out.
Thankfully, the frogs were still okay, so I scooped them out. And eventually, I even found the fish all still in good health. I identified the frog species as African dwarf frogs, which are able to survive fully underwater. And the fish was the species of black coolie loach, which is this weird snake-looking thing. But of course now, it's time to focus on transforming this. I honestly can't get over how bad this is, like genuinely, who built this? And to start the process, this thing needed to be cleaned. So I drained out the sewage water and got rid of it. And of course, I took everything else out because, yeah, we don't really want any of this nasty stuff. If I'm being honest, this is already 100 times better than that garbage we started with. But we're about to make this 1,000 times better. So let's give those creatures a new home. Anyway, step one was to buy a lot of money's worth of new supplies.
Oh my god, $400. This is gonna be an insane build.
And get them delivered to my house. But for step two, we gotta actually get to building, and there we go. And to start the build, I'm gonna recreate that plastic arch thing that was originally in the tank, and I'm gonna base the entire theme of the new tank around that. Just obviously, I'm gonna be using real rocks, not plastic trash pet store rocks that are dirty. Yeah, this is so bad. Get this out of here. Anyways, the build was pretty simple. You just place rocks in and then glue them together, and then repeat that like a billion times. And after literally 4 hours, the cave arch structure was done. And I know, it might look like trash right now with all that exposed foam and stuff, but trust me, it's gonna look good soon. And speaking of looking good, let's get to the next part where we add in the floor and decorations. First, I'll do the floor, which I'm mostly gonna be making out of this aqua soil stuff. But I also kept some of the original soil from the trash tank because while it was dirty, it was actually some pretty good soil. But of course, it needed to be cleaned so I wasn't getting deadly bacteria and viruses in my new tank. So to kill all that stuff, I decided to boil it in some boiling water. Yeah. Alright, it's been boiling for a little bit and it's probably killed all the bacteria and stuff. But I was thinking this kind of looks like soup, so I'm just gonna go and see if my mom will try and drink it or something. I don't know, let's see.
I made some soup. Do you want to try it?
What kind of soup is it? It's dirt.
No, it's mushroom.
Okay. Is it really mushroom?
Yeah. No, like actually it is. You can
No,
just...
it's not. No, it's not. It's raw.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It's mushroom.
Okay, I guess it doesn't really look like soup. She didn't fall for it. Anyways, I added it in and then poured a layer of gravel on top. The floor was now finished, and next up was the decorations, which basically meant I was just gonna add some plants and stuff. Yeah. For the plants, I got a delivery that cost $100 from some aquarium website, and I got straight to planting them. First, I covered the whole top of the cave in this moss stuff to make it look like grass was growing on top. Then for the rest of the plants, I just, you know, put them around the aquarium, as you do. Finally, I scattered some rocks and wood around. I just, forgot to record that part, so, just imagine this is footage of me doing that. Okay, the whole base of the tank is now complete, but this is honestly kinda average. Rocks, plants, you know, every aquarium has that. And I'm transforming this into the best aquarium to give justice to the poor frogs and fish, meaning I still have a lot of work to do. Next up on the list is to add custom technology in here that'll make the tank actually cool. And the first technology I got is this little water pump. And to show you what it does, let me fill the tank up with water, plug it in, and yeah, boy, it makes bubbles. Okay, maybe it's not that cool, but it is important to have this so oxygen can spread around the tank.
Nice.
Anyways, this next technology is actually cool. I was just wandering around Walmart yesterday and saw this little robo fish that apparently can swim around in the water by itself. That is too cool to pass up on, so of course I bought half of their stock. And on the packaging it says it even changes colors in the water. That's sick. But I don't really know how this works, so I guess I'll just press this button and, oh, the fins are moving. Okay, let me put this in the water.
Wait, bro, look at this thing. This is actually pretty cool. Wait, I gotta get these other ones in here. Let's see. Okay, all the fish are in here, and this just looks like an aquarium now. I'm not even gonna lie. Bro, the actual fish are gonna be so confused when they see these ones in here. That is gonna be so funny.
Anyways, for now, I'm gonna take them out, and later I'll be adding them back in with the live fish to see how the live fish react. This is an automatic fish feeder. Basically, I just gotta set it up on the side, fill it up with all types of tasty food, and now I just press this button on the side, and it'll drop food. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Or I can set it to be automatic every 12 or 24 hours. But there's no fish in here, so let me just take this food out so it doesn't get moldy and stuff. Okay, now the final technology, and this, to be honest, isn't anything special. It's just a water filter and a water heater, which is just some basic necessities to make sure our fish and frogs are able to thrive. And speaking of those guys, it's almost time to see how they're gonna react to the new transformed tank. But before then, I'm gonna first add in some friends for them. And I've got a lot of stuff. The first species I added in was a bunch of ghost shrimp, which, you know, are shrimp. They clean up the tank and stuff. Thanks, guys. But actually, this is a pretty cool species because as you can see, they're kind of see-through. And because of that, you can literally see stuff inside of their body. Like this guy just ate some moss. And because of that, you can see some green inside of his body. Wow. The next species I added in was 2 new African dwarf frogs and 5 more coolie loaches. And yes, these are the same species of fish and frogs that were in the original tank. And that's because those species that we already have are all social animals, and it wasn't ideal to only have the 2 frogs and 1 fish that we started with. The final species I added in was some neon tetras, just because, well, they look cool and they swim around schools and they look cool. Yeah. Well, all the friends are added now, so of course it's time to add the original frogs and fish inside. Be free. Okay, well, that's kind of anticlimactic. Well, they're in here now, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna live an amazing life, so that's good. But now that it's transformed, this is the best part of the video, where I'll be doing stuff like seeing how the fish react to the robot fish, and also I'll even be hatching live prey from eggs to feed the frogs and fish some live food. And speaking of that live prey, let's get to hatching that now, because it's gonna take a little while to get those hatched. These are brine shrimp eggs, which to start the hatching process, we're basically gonna get a pot, throw a bunch of ingredients in there like a soup, and put in a heater, a light, and a pump. And yeah, basically these shrimp are gonna hatch in about a day, probably. I don't know if I set this up right, but I guess we'll see. In the meantime, I had to, of course, test out the robot fish in the aquarium, so, be free. Right after adding them, the first fish to encounter them was the little school of neon tetras. At first, they seemed pretty chill about it, just ignoring it and going about their normal life. That was until one of the robot fish started to rush at them at max speed, and, they all got extremely scared. One of the frogs was also chilling on top of the cave when another robot fish came swimming in towards them. Yeah, he was not gonna have any of that. But the thing is, most of the fish were inside of the cave, so I wasn't able to see their reaction. So, of course, I put all the robot fish inside of it. And, yeah, they kind of all got stuck, and I couldn't record any of the fish reactions because it was too dark. And since I couldn't even reach the robot fish to get them out, they're just gonna be a permanent addition to the cave. Nice. Anyways, I let a day pass so that I could come back to the brine shrimp eggs being hatched. And while it looked like 99% of the eggs hadn't hatched, if we zoom in a bunch on my bad quality iPhone camera, you can see thousands of little dots swimming around. Those are the brine shrimp. Listen, I didn't say they were gonna be big, okay? So I got my water sucker, sucked them up, and was ready to feed the fish. I first put a little bit of the shrimp right next to a lone neon tetra, and within seconds he started going crazy. It even attracted the attention of some of the other tetras, and soon multiple were sucking up all the tasty shrimp. Next up, I put some of the brine shrimp near a frog, and at first he seemed to not care, but then he started to, of course, devour them too. I guess these brine shrimps taste good. Dang. Finally, I put some of the brine shrimp near a coolie loach, and I was expecting this guy to start eating them too, but he kind of just, yeah, he just swam away into the darkness of a cave. Bruh. Well, even though I found this aquarium as a piece of garbage, I'm happy I was able to completely transform it and give a new home to the poor fish and frogs that were alive in it originally. I've scoured the internet for the craziest insect videos I could find. Beetles painting pictures, insane slow motions, and so much more. Anyways, when some dude left a piece of cheesecake out near his ant colony. And well, let's just say the ants didn't waste any time to absolutely start decimating it. If this doesn't show why you shouldn't leave food out, then I don't know what does. Dang. Shows this insane time-lapse footage of leafcutter ants doing their signature thing. cutting leaves. In it, you can see how they all work together over time, cutting out these circular pieces to absolutely decimate this leaf till it's no more. The scientists that filmed it even got this super close-up footage showing exactly how their mandibles cut through the leaves, showing how it works almost super similar to how scissors work. It's crazy how some animals in nature have evolved to do this. But the coolest thing is how we got this footage that shows while a leaf might just start with one ant cutting it, that one ant will take her leaf back to the colony and let all the other workers know where that leaf is. So that way they can all swarm it and basically speed run to chop the whole thing up. Yeah, it's super cool how these guys work as a team. A kid decided for some reason it'd be a good idea to get pet bed bugs. Yes, like the things that bite you when you sleep. He literally built them a natural standing enclosure and made a mini mattress for them to sleep under. And yeah, since they were his pet, he had to feed them. So he let them crawl on his arm and suck his blood. Yeah, if you couldn't already tell, this isn't just some random kid. I had to get a spot on the craziest insect videos, because yeah, I had to be the first person to get pet bed bugs. But by the way, guys, my mom made me get rid of them for some reason. I don't know why. Mom, I was just wondering why you made me get rid of the pet bed bugs.
Because we don't want those in the house.
The pet bed bugs?
Yes, absolutely.
I thought they were cute.
No, they'll be biting us and we had to get rid of them.
On right away, but you see this dangling thing? This is all ants. And it's like a bajillion ants all joined together, starting up at the corner of this roof, spanning all the way down. You can see so many ants grabbing onto each other's bodies to make a literal ant bridge. And on top of the bridge, you can see more ants just walking around on top of it, doing stuff like carrying eggs and food. And this bridge goes all the way down, curves back up, and connects to a wasp nest. Yep, these ants are so genius, they built this bridge to straight up attack a wasp nest, and now they can probably feed their colony for days. Wow. And wait a second, if these ants can just stand on the roof here, why did they just walk from here to here? Are you guys sure this giant bridge was necessary? Okay, anyways, it's still crazy. Some paint brushes. And surprisingly, they actually took a hold of them perfectly. And yeah, they literally just started to walk around, dragging the edge of the paintbrush along the canvas, making a beautiful work of art. I mean, they weren't perfect, and they did paint a little bit on his table, but for the most part, they stuck to the canvas. He even let the beetles choose the colors they wanted to paint with, so yeah, you could say the beetles had full artistic control, and by the end, this is what it looked like. Now, this is modern art. This could easily sell to some art museum for an insane amount of money, because like, the fact that beetles painted this makes it so cool. I'm being so serious. Insect House, the guy that made this video, you could like actually reach out to some art museums and actually sell this thing for like $1 million. I've seen some crazy modern art sell for insane amounts of money. Actually do it, bro. I'm being serious. A bunch of butterflies flying around and put his pet mantises in front of it. And yeah, I guess the mantises must have been hungry, because you can tell this guy was absolutely locked in, ducking and weaving and lining up the perfect shot to attack the butterflies. But yeah, he was very confused why he couldn't grab it. He was trying multiple times. Then there was this mantis that was legit staring at the screen for a minute before he made his first attack. But yeah, for him, it was no different. He couldn't really grab the butterflies either. First, we got iPad kids. Now, we got iPad mantises. Really, bro? What's next? iPad frogs? Wait a second. That already exists. Okay. This is a beetle grub, and this is gonna show the process of how they grow up into a beetle over time. Oh, by the way, this is not a normal beetle species. This is the largest beetle species in the world, a Hercules beetle. And as the time goes on, you can see even just this grub starts getting much larger than what a normal fully grown beetle would be. And after literally over a year, this massive creature starts to go into its pupa stage, where you can see exactly how it transforms from a worm creature into a beetle. First, you can see the legs starting to grow, then the giant horns start to emerge from the head that the species have, and boom, after a long 500 days, the beetle emerges from its pupa, and yeah, that's how long it takes for one of these beauties to be born. By the way, it's so cool to watch these guys fly. This is not an edited sound or anything. It actually sounds like a literal helicopter when their wings are flapping. Because in this footage, a guy put out this red sugar water and then let his ants loose near it. Obviously, ants are super attracted to sugar, so they started to swarm it. But the thing that's so interesting about these ants is that they're a special kind of species that can store extra liquid inside their abdomen. Yep, you heard that right, and you can see it super clearly in this footage. As this ant sucks up the sugar water, his abdomen gets way larger and way more red, and it's actually insane to see. But by far the coolest thing to see is this footage of one of the bigger ants who was full of sugar water going up to this empty ant and literally feeding it some of its sugar water. better. You can see this one's abdomen getting smaller as this one's gets bigger. And yeah, it's kind of nasty how they just regurgitate the food into each other's mouths, but they're ants. I don't really think they care. This is it. And actually, this is a massive locust, so it's pretty cool to see a mantis eat this whole thing, since it's pretty much as big as him. But first, the mantis starts devouring its head with its alien mouth, then it works its way down the body. And yeah, the mantis basically takes no breaks while eating. The endurance is actually pretty dang impressive. And by the end, there was nothing but scraps on the floor, and the mantis's belly was pretty dang big, which makes sense. He just ate a lot. You might be thinking, bruh, TerraGreen, where's the insect? Well, check this out. These beans can quite literally jump, and that's because there's an insect inside of them. In fact, a larva of a moth is inside of these beans. And many larvae like this species have learned to jump by flinging the end of their tail against the ground. And when you look very closely at this bean, you can see the little larva inside flinging himself up against the top of the bean to make enough momentum to send it flying into the air. And in this time-lapse footage, you can see how they actually move a pretty good amount over the course of a few hours. But yeah, after about half a year inside of one of these beans, they turn into a moth that looks kind of like this. They show a ton of cool bugs crawling around on this guy's hand, like orchid mantises and leaf insects, which are super cool because they look like leaves, obviously. The main reason I'm showing you this is because this guy also lets other stuff crawl on him, like these insanely creepy creatures. Yeah, even I, TerraGreen, would not let those crawl on me. What the heck even are those? But yeah, he also lets stuff go on his face, like this giant moth, dang, and a Hercules beetle from earlier, which, like, dang bro, you gotta be careful with. That giant horn could easily poke your eye out. But actually, respect to you for keeping all these insanely cool insects. It's actually so cool. Roaches, right? Like, they're just some chill little insects. Well, I filmed this video that shows how they're born. And yeah, this isn't a clam or anything. This is an egg sac. And yeah, that's a ton of roaches coming out. Nah. Basically, when the mom roaches are ready to have babies, they develop their egg sacs in the back of their body, which you can see right here and here. And a day before they hatch, they drop them on the ground. And basically, each one of these slits in the egg sac is a baby roach that's about to hatch. And yeah, literally all at the same time, you can see the bottom of it starts to slowly expand. And these little white worm things start to poke out. And these are all the new roaches that are now born, and they're gonna go run around and find homes for themselves. Dang, sorry if you're eating, but to be fair, if you're eating, you probably would have clicked off the video by now. But whether you have or haven't, it's actually pretty interesting, because this scientist caught an extreme close-up video exactly of how it works. Basically, he got an ant stinger right up to a thin layer of wax paper and let it pierce through it. And right as it pierces through, you can literally see droplets of venom drip off the end of the stinger. So yeah, every time you're stung by an ant in the wild on an extremely tiny scale, this is exactly what's happening under your skin. And the craziest thing is how thin these stingers are, because here they are next to a human hair. Yeah, the tip of the stinger is like half of the width of the hair. That is insanely thin, which is pretty cool to see because, like, I didn't even realize, but yeah, snails literally hatch with their shell. I don't know why I didn't really think to realize that, but yeah, they do. But the real reason I'm showing you this is because this is the most insane snail species of all time. Because this video also shows what happens over the months as this snail species grows up. It literally keeps getting larger and larger and larger, bigger than any snail species you've probably ever seen before, until after 3 years it is fully grown. And oh yeah, this is a giant African land snail, the largest snail in the entire world. And yeah, they are absolutely insane. The fact that this is bigger than a hand is like, what? I mean, what? It all starts when the queen ants and the male ants are mating, which is shown in this video. This is the queen ant and this is the male. And you can see exactly how much more massive the queens are than the males. And it's actually kind of funny because oftentimes many males will latch onto the same female all at the same time and try and mate at the same time. And sometimes the female will even try and fly while this is all happening, which doesn't exactly work very well with all that extra weight weighing her down. Yet somehow the males manage to stay clinging on. In this video, I've collected the 7 weirdest species of fish to keep as pets. I've got species like one that literally has no eyes, the smallest in the entire world, and even a fish that can walk on land. Yeah, yeah, these fish are weird. This is an archer fish, and all I'll tell you is this guy isn't called an archer fish for no reason. It has an absolutely insane special ability. So to get started, I got out a giant fish tank to build its home. I started with the basics like soil and sand, but started adding tons more decorations like rocks and tree branches. And I even put some overhanging branches, as this is very important for the archer fish. You'll see why in a second. Finally, I filled up the tank with water and it was ready for the archer fish. Hope you enjoy your new home, boy. It's nice in here. Now, archer fish are very territorial, so he immediately started to swim all around the tank to make sure he was alone. And when he realized he swam up to the top of the tank to start patrolling the branches. You see, this species doesn't eat normal fish food. They only eat live insects. So I got out a bag of small crickets and put them on top of the tree branches. And this is where the special ability kicks in. The archer fish immediately noticed the crickets and got into position. And after barely sticking its mouth out of the water, it shot out a stream of water to try and hit the crickets off the branch into the water. Yes, this fish has literally evolved over millions of years to shoot literal water beams at overhead insects so it can eat them. And this guy, well, he's got pretty bad aim. Yeah, he kept missing the easiest shots.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
But eventually he knocked one in the water and swam right up to it to gulp it up. And yeah, he wasn't good at that either, but he eventually got it.
Oh, you got it. Dang, that was actually super cool.
Yeah, I know it looks like there's nothing in here, but that's because this thing is called an Amazon leaf fish. It literally almost never moves, and in fact, the only way you can tell it's a fish is its super tiny fins and its eyes. But don't let this thing fool you. It's actually a fierce predator that will eat anything. But to show you that, we gotta get its home built. For the tank, I wanted to make it look like the bottom of an Amazon rainforest river or lake or something. Now, I didn't really know how to do that, to be honest, but I just stacked up a bunch of pieces of wood so it looked like tree roots. And after filling it up with some water, you can tell it had this orange hue to it, and that's because I let the tannins from the wood soak into the water because it's super healthy for this fish. So I scooped him up into his brand new home, and immediately he went into hiding. Let's play a little game. You have 5 seconds to find the fish in the tank. Let's go. He's somewhere in here camouflaged. And did you get it? He's right here. Yeah, basically impossible to see, especially when he's in the cloudy, tannin-filled water. Anyways, one of the coolest things about this fish is how it swims. You see, while most fish swim by flapping their back fin around back and forth, this guy needs to look like a drifting dead leaf. So using the super tiny fins, it flaps those barely enough to propel his body around the water. And yeah, it blends in pretty well. Now, in the wild, these guys mostly eat live fish, but I'd feel bad feeding them a live fish, so instead, I've got another idea for some live prey to feed it. Basically, I got this little toy that apparently lets you hatch your own pet shrimp from eggs. And I'm gonna feed them to the leaf, of course. Alright, everything's set up, and I think there's gonna be some stuff hatching in here in like a day or two, so I guess I'll just come back, cut to them. Alright, it's been a couple days, and I don't really know if I did this right, but if you look closely in there, there is actually a bunch of those little, I don't really know what they are, but they're swimming around. Something's alive in there, so I'm sure that's a good sign. So I used a little pipette to suck them out, and as you can see, there's a pretty good amount of them inside of it. Then I just sprayed them all around the leaf fish and waited for him to ambush them, or something like that. But I'm gonna be honest, he didn't really react to them at all, and he didn't eat any of them. But of course he has to eat, so instead I got out a pack of frozen shrimp, which are a lot bigger, and surely he would eat. I dropped them in right next to him, and it didn't take long until he started to suck them up one by one. Looks like he's enjoying it. Anyways, this guy's gonna be a great pet. I've got both glass catfish and upside down catfish, which, you know, are both catfish, so they fit pretty well together. Anyways, before I show you how weird these species are, we gotta first, of course, build another tank, and this one's pretty similar to the first. Sand, rocks, wood, stuff like that, you know, and I wanted to especially make this one look like a swamp, so I even made sure the water was a little murky, and then I was done. So the first weird fish I put inside was the glass catfish, and if you're wondering why they're called glass catfish, it's because they're literally made of glass. I'm just kidding. They're actually made of fish, but they're called glass catfish because they're completely see-through, if you're wondering. If I put my finger behind the fish, you can literally see it through it. That's pretty weird, you gotta admit. Anyways, while these guys adjusted to the tank, I also added in the 2 upside-down catfish I had. Now, this will probably be a shock to some of you, but they're actually called upside-down catfish because they swim upside down a bunch. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Now, the reason to why they do this is because their favorite food is algae, and when they're upside down, they get access to the parts of rocks other fish can't reach. It's actually pretty smart. Now, normally if I was upside down this long, I'd get a headache, but I guess guess they're fish, so I don't know if fish get headaches, to be honest.
All right, now I could just feed these guys just, you know, normal fish pellets, but I think it'd be a lot more interesting to feed them something cool so we can see the food inside their bodies. So that's why I've got this. Apparently it's just some frozen turkey heart, Daphnia, and spirulina. Yeah, I don't know what any of that is, but it's probably gonna be cool to see inside their body. Let's drop it in.
So I dropped in a few of the cubes, and immediately they started to dissolve into a bunch of tiny little food that floated around the tank. A few of the ghost catfish immediately went and picked it up off the floor and slowly started to chew it up and swallow it. But after they swallowed it, I couldn't see the food in their body anywhere, and apparently that's because their stomach is actually right here. Yeah, I don't know why they have the stomach so close to their mouth. Like, what if they sneeze too hard? The stomach might just like fall out or something. Well, now that the catfish have been fed, this is literally the fish. It is the smallest fish available to buy on the entire internet. It's called a chili rasbora, and no, this is not a baby or anything. It is literally a fully grown adult. I don't even know if it'll be able to eat those tiny little pellets since it's so small, but I guess we'll see. Anyways, for its tank, I bought something to match its size, the smallest one I could find on Amazon.
Oh yes, this is super cool and super big. As you can see, it's about the size of my hand. Okay, it's not big, but for some reason it looks like a Lego block. I don't know why. And it also came with this bag of supplies like rocks and some super bad decorations. So yeah, get this trash out of here.
For the build, it was pretty simple. Just some sand, rocks, and little twigs. And after filling it up with water very carefully, it was ready.
All right, the little thing's ready, but I did just realize that we're actually kind of demoting him. We're giving him a smaller cage. But hey, I'm sure he won't mind. I mean, he's a small guy. Let's just scoop him up. And just be free, my friend. Welcome to your new home.
Now, ignore how the water's a little cloudy in here. I can't exactly put a filter on the tank since it's way too small. But anyways, look at how much the chili rasbora is enjoying his tank. You know, swimming around and stuff. Yeah, he loves it. To feed him, I dropped in some of the pellets like I was saying earlier, and while he was swimming around looking like he wanted to eat them, he didn't actually eat any of them. And yeah, even if he did try to eat them, I don't even think they'd fit in his mouth. Like, to be honest, it's so small, I don't even know if this thing has a brain in its head. It might just be on, like, autopilot, going around in random directions 24/7. Bruh. But anyways, if you thought I was gonna keep this guy in here, you are wrong. That would actually be kind of mean, since they need a lot more room than this to swim around. So I scooped him up and actually added him in the tank with the catfish, since those aren't aggressive at all and it has the perfect conditions. And I even added in 5 more of the same chili rasbora species so they could school up and be friends with each other. Very cool. Anyways, these are eyeless cavefish, and as the name suggests, these fish quite literally have no eyes. You're probably wondering how it even eats food, swims, or does anything. I don't really know, but I guess we're gonna find out. But first, I got out the tank and started to attach rocks to the back because I want to make this fish tank look like a cave, because you know we're putting eyeless cave fish in here. We got to make it look like their natural habitat. And once all the water safe spray foam dried, I filled the bottom up with a bit of soil, sand, plants, decorations, and all that stuff.
All right, so I was trying to make this look like a cave, and it's not the absolute best, but hopefully you get the vision. You know, it's a cave.
Anyways, I filled it up with water and got the weird eyeless fish out.
Okay, if I'm being honest, I'm kind of confused on what these guys are gonna do when I put them in here. I mean, they literally don't have eyes, so are they just gonna like swim right into a rock and get brain damage or something? I don't know. I guess we'll see though.
So I released them in one by one, and as I expected, this guy straight away swam right into a rock. Bruh. But apparently that was just a one-off occurrence, because for the most part they actually acted pretty similar to normal fish. So before I fed them some food, I did some research to figure out how they act so normal, and figured out it's because they have this thing on their body called a lateral line system. Basically, it's a bunch of nerves that can detect super slight water vibrations and help them navigate around.
Okay, now this is the fun part. Since these guys are blind, we're gonna see if they're actually able to even eat food. I got these pellets.
So I sprinkled them in, and they started to sink to the bottom. And almost immediately, the fish's insane scent of smell kicked in, and one started to go crazy. And within seconds, the rest of them joined in, and as you can see, they were going insane, eating up all the food off the floor like a bunch of piranhas. Yeah, eyeless cavefish are super cool and super weird. Now, the walking fish in this container is actually called a mud skipper, but this one in specific is named Franklin, and he appeared in my most popular video. But it's been 6 months, and he's changed a lot, so I want to show you the new and improved Franklin. But before I can can do that, I want to build him a new home since his old home that I built for him is pretty old at this point. So I got out an enclosure and started by putting lava rocks along the middle and using spray foam to seal them up. You see, for walking fish, you need a land area, but also a very shallow water area so they can stay wet and swim around. And first, I started with the water area by putting down some aqua soil, sand, and then some rocks and pebbles to make it look more natural. And I finished it off by sticking around some sticks. See what I did there? Sticking around the sticks? Yeah. Anyways, for the land area, I used some coconut fiber for the base and covered it in a different type of dirt, which will have a more mud-like consistency once water is added. I finished it by putting some sticks around and a little bit of moss. Simple, but good. The final step was to add in water to the right side and then also a bunch of water to the dirt to make it muddy.
All right, you can see after we added the water, this basically turned into like mud, which is perfect for the mud skipper, of course. But the problem with this is it's super moist and mold can actually grow here super easily. So to fix that, I've got this pack of springtails, which are basically they're little bugs and they eat mold and stop mold from growing. So yeah, I'm just gonna put them in there like that. Nice.
Just like that, the enclosure was finished and ready for Franklin to be added. Welcome to your new home, buddy. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Now, if you didn't see the previous video about the walking fish, basically, they can swim around like a normal fish as expected, but in reality, they actually spend most of their time out of the water. And as you can see here, he is an absolute expert at that. As long as their skin is wet, they can breathe just fine outside the water, just like a frog or something.
Now, if you guys saw the last video about the walking fish, Franklin is actually deathly as scared of crickets, but it's been about 6 months since then, and well, I got some good news, guys. He kind of likes to eat crickets now, and I'm about to show you exactly what it's like. It's actually pretty cool to watch.
So I dropped some inside, and they immediately started to walk along the bank of the water area. Not a great idea, considering Franklin was watching their every move. But even after some of the crickets got extremely close to Franklin, he kind of just ignored them. He wasn't scared of them or anything, but he just wasn't eating them. So the crickets got off lucky today, because I guess Franklin just wasn't hungry. So if you want to know what it looks like when he eats crickets, just imagine a cricket and then imagine Franklin eating it. Yeah, basically that's it. But anyways, Franklin is easily the coolest weird fish in this video because fish, they're not supposed to be able to walk on land. How much weight can a spider web actually hold? Obviously, they hold flies, but what about a pen? A water bottle? A dumbbell?
Well, I went out and bought the spider that makes the strongest webs in the world to be able to go and test it.
And without wasting any time, I let the spider loose into this massive enclosure with tons of anchor points all over the wall to ensure an enormous web could be built in here. You see, these are called golden silk orb weavers, and their silk is so strong that it's said that the military literally studied it to learn how to make bulletproof vests. Yeah, these guys are the real deal. So while we wait for this massive web to be constructed, I also want to test questions like what is the coolest spider species, can spiders walk on water, and tons of other fun spider questions.
I went and put that spider inside of this massive enclosure, and for me that was about a week ago, and since putting the spider inside of here, all he's pretty much done is spun some web at the back left corner and the back right corner, and yeah, he hasn't made a massive web in the middle.
You see, spiders that make massive webs like this can take weeks in captivity to feel comfortable enough to do it, just because the environment is totally different from the wild. Now, I usually would just keep waiting to be able to find some spider webs in the wild myself.
And guys, I brought the backpack so we can test a bunch of items in the spider webs to see what is the heaviest item they can hold.
Now, after I found this first pretty tiny spider web, I got out the backpack to take out the lightest item to test the weight of crickets, which obviously you can see this web is able to hold it just fine. Webs like this are literally designed to be able to hold insects. You see, even just this is impressive because if these spiders were scaled up to how big humans were, it'd basically be the equivalent to a human being able to make a web that could hold 125 pounds, based on some complex math, which I'm not going to go into.
All right, but we knew that was going to be able to hold a cricket. Our next item we got to test though is a $20 bell, which actually weighs double the amount as what a cricket weighs. And also it's a lot bigger, so let's see if a bigger web can hold this.
Like I said, this web is a bit bigger and it should be able to hold this even though the weight is double the amount. And after kind of finding the right place to balance it, boom, just like that, the $20 looks like it's just floating there, but it's actually being held by the web. And when ranked on our human scalability, that money is the equivalent to a human making a web that could hold 250 pounds. We're getting heavier. But the next item is this empty pen casing, which is 5 times more heavy than that money. Now, if you're wondering how the web handled against this, well, you'd probably be surprised that it actually held held without too much of a problem at all. Meaning this is basically the equivalent to a human web holding over 1,000 pounds. Now we are getting heavy. And now the last item I've got is a water bottle, which is obviously a lot heavier and also a lot bigger than all the other stuff I've tested. And I know it's not a dumbbell like I said at the start, but hey, I'm not trying to just destroy this web for no reason at all, because yeah, that would definitely destroy it. But yeah, let's test if this can hold the water bottle. Now with the pen and money already weighing this web down, it wasn't looking too promising, but I still tried my best to perfectly align the water bottle in the web so it would hold. And when I let go of the water bottle, it fell apart.
I got the cutest spider right in here.
They're called jumping spiders, and I mean, just look at them. While every other spider is evil and just straight up nasty looking, these guys are super fluffy, and they got all these little cute eyes, arms, and everything about them is just lovely. Oh my gosh, they're so cute.
In fact, these spiders are so cute, they literally made an entire animated show about them called Lucas the Spider. And dang, this is pretty entertaining, but also it's not very accurate, because if this is real, the spider would definitely be eating the fly.
Because even though these guys are so cute, they're called jumping spiders because of their insane ability to jump towards prey and eat them whole. Yeah, they probably aren't so cute to the prey. So you already know, I got a little home built for this guy. I went and put him inside, and I got out a cricket to feed him.
Yeah, but this cricket is pretty big for the jumping spider, so if it's able to eat this thing, that'll just show how insane they are despite being super duper cute.
Now what I did was immediately showed the jumping spider the cricket to let him know it was feeding time. And while I was showing it to him, you could see he was actually being pretty nice and wasn't just straight up attacking it. Actually was kind of backing off. So I decided to let the cricket loose, and a little later I noticed the cricket was standing literally right next to the spider. And yeah, the jumping spider just wasn't eating it for some reason. Dang, maybe that little animation I was watching was accurate, and maybe jumping spiders are actually very friendly. Or maybe mine was just not hungry right now. Actually, that probably is what it is.
But I think I'm just gonna leave that cricket in there, so when the jumping spider gets hungry, it will do that, basically. Yeah, as you can tell in this footage, it's pretty cool to watch them eat. How Spider-Man can shoot long-ranged webs out of his wrists. Well, this spider species can also shoot long-ranged webs, and it's pretty crazy.
These are called long-legged spitting spiders. And as you can see, they look pretty weird because they have a massive head. You see, most spiders have their silk glands, which are the things that make silk, in their abdomen. And that's why that area is so big, but these guys got their silk glands in their head because they need to be able to shoot webs out of their mouth. But in order for them to be able to do that, they gotta go and set up a little area in their tank. So I put my spider in a tank, and he started to walk around, climbed up some sticks and stuff, and when I came back a little bit later, there was a little web made at the top of the enclosure. This means he was now settled in, and he is ready to attack some prey.
All right, now that the spider went and made a web somewhere at the top of the enclosure, I'm gonna put in some crickets like always. And I know it's kind of a lot, but hopefully one of these guys gets shot by some webs. Let's go.
So I put them in, and while most of the crickets were kind of just walking around the grassy floor area, this one cricket started to climb up this stick that led directly to where the spitting spider was. The cricket then crawled right next to the spider, waking him up, which probably angered the spider, causing the spider to shoot his web directly onto the cricket, completely gluing him to the wall, making sure the cricket would never be able to move again. You see, not only does this web shot completely immobilize the prey, just like Spider-Man can do, but also because the web shots come from the head, it's infused with the spider's venom, meaning the web that's covering this cricket's body is seeping venom into it, which makes it even easier for the spider to consume it. And as you can see, that's exactly what the spider did.
And well, guys, I think I found it. I got it. It's right in here.
But before I could take it out of this container, I quickly built up its enclosure. And yep, literally all we need is just some sand, and that is it. These are one of the most resilient and simple spiders in the entire world, and let's open this. Now you may notice that I was being extremely ultra careful with opening this, and that's because this species is one of the most venomous creatures on the planet, like period. And if it bit me, there'd be a high likelihood I wouldn't make it. But thankfully that didn't happen because the spider started to climb out of the paper towel and then onto the sand. Now these are called six-eyed sand spiders. These guys are able to camouflage by doing this. Once they find a good spot where the sand is nice and loose, they start to kick sand on top of themselves and bury themselves under it to hide here for basically 99% of its life. Now it may not technically be camouflage, but this ability does an amazing job at hiding it. And I mean, even its legs just look like tiny little sticks poking out the sand. This does not look like a spider. Unlike other predators that use their camouflage abilities to hunt, these spiders are no different. And as soon as they detect motion, they will jump out of the floor.
So let's feed this thing a cricket. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, and you would have no idea that that is literally one of the most venomous things in the world.
Anyways, I went and dropped the cricket inside, and immediately he got to running around the enclosure. But little did he know, right under his feet was his doom. Well, kinda, because I thought right away the spider was gonna pop out, but the cricket actually was just straight up walking on top of the spider, and the spider just didn't care. But I think it's because this cricket was a little bit big for the spider, so a little bit later, I came back with a smaller cricket, as you can see. And well, as you can also see, this time the spider did not waste a single second to pounce onto this cricket. Nah, look at this instant replay. Imagine if that was my finger. And, well, I guess this spider is gonna enjoy his very tasty meal now. Nice. All right.
Yeah, you might be thinking, heck no, TerraGreen, are you stupid? If a spider walked on water, it would just fall in and drown. But I think I actually found a spider species that actually can walk on water. And I've heard that they can also do tons of other crazy stuff.
So I built it up the perfect environment with both a water and a land area to get this experiment started. Now, I very carefully let the spider loose because obviously, as you can tell, it's extremely large and creepy. I'm still kind of scared of spiders. But eventually, the spider ended up crawling out of the container.
All right, now that he's out of that container and on the land section, hopefully he now goes and walks in the water. Let me see if maybe I can move him over there. I don't want to. Oh, he's doing it.
Yep, and just like that, the spider started to defy the laws of physics, kinda. I know it looks like the spider is just sort of floating on top of the water, but it actually has completely perfect control to be able to walk around on top, just like it was solid ground. Yeah, it's actually insane, but these spiders are able to do this because of their legs, which are covered with these super tiny water repellent hairs that make them buoyant on top of the water.
But these guys didn't just evolve to walk on the water for nothing. They did it so they could hunt where no other spider could.
While most normal spiders just sit on a web all day waiting for the prey to come to them, these guys are active hunters and instead are able to pick up the slightest vibrations in the water to know exactly where the stuff is to attack it.
So I want to see if this fishing spider will try and dive under the water for some crickets. This should be very interesting. I've heard crickets are these guys' super favorite food, if that makes sense. Yeah, they really like them though.
Yeah, now I was gonna try and take my time with this, but you see, I accidentally dropped the cricket in, and right away, the fishing spider went insane and pounced on it without wasting a single second, and the cricket was now just straight up in the fangs of this insane predator. But I didn't really get a good view of it attacking the cricket, so what I actually did was took the cricket from the spider so I could see if I could get the shot one more time. And this time, the spider once again pounced onto the cricket as soon as it saw it. And obviously, it's pretty creepy, and you can see those legs moving. It's very scary, actually. But you could see from under the water, the cricket had no chance of escape, and it was now getting eaten as the spider walked up onto the land to finish eating it there.
All right.
I instantly dropped it into a little enclosure I built for it. You see, they're called trapdoor spiders because they build trapdoors. Basically, over the course of a few hours, they dig out a hole in the ground. Then they coat the inside of that hole with a special kind of silk they produce that allows it to essentially turn into a functional trapdoor that they can surprise prey with. And while I wasn't able to catch mine building the trapdoor, the next morning I came back to find this area looking pretty different. And based off of this suspicious moss and silk tripwires, I'm pretty sure the spider set up his trapdoor right here.
So I suspect if I put a cricket in, the spider will jump out of the trapdoor to eat it.
Immediately, the cricket got to walking around, and this enclosure isn't super big, so it wasn't long until the cricket was right next to the trapdoor. Now, you see these silk lines. Like I said earlier, they are tripwires that are directly connected down to where the spider is located. So if something were to touch one of these tripwires, the spider would instantaneously know exactly where to strike. And well, guys, it is insane to see this because like 20 seconds later, the cricket walked over the trapdoor onto the tripwire, and the cricket is now it's just gone. Check out that instant replay. Oh my gosh. The fact that the spider is just born with the ability to know to do this is so insane. And if you thought that was cool, this is 50 Venus flytrap plants. And in this video, I'm gonna put 1,000 flies in the same container as them. Will the sheer number of flies trick the traps, causing them to close, or are the flies just simply cooked?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's why I bought this.
This is 1,000 fly larvae. Yeah, might look extremely nasty, but over the next week, as long as I feed them food, they should all turn into flies so I can do this test.
So while we wait for these guys to turn into flies, obviously I have all of these Venus flytraps. But I also have tons of other carnivorous plants that you may have never even seen before. Now, I know it may sound stupid, but I promise you how they work and catch insects is actually really insane. Let me show you how they work.
And yeah, it's not a joke how small these things are, because when compared to normal Venus flytraps, the jaws are about 10 times smaller. And in fact, they're kind of cute, to be honest.
But since these are minuscule, the normal prey I feed in my videos is not gonna cut it. Yeah, sorry cricket, you get to live another day. That's why instead, I got literally the smallest thing available.
These are flightless fruit flies, which if you've seen my channel before, because seriously bro, how are you a fly that doesn't have the ability to fly? That doesn't make any sense. But anyways, I put the smallest Venus flytraps in the testing enclosure, then I put one of these flies inside to see if he'd get caught. Start the timer. Now this fly didn't waste any time, because it immediately walked straight up to one of the Venus flytrap pots, and then started to walk all over the tops of the jaws, absolutely risking his life. You may already know this, but normal Venus flytraps work by having these super tiny trigger hairs inside of them that when a bug or something touches them, it snaps shut. But these traps are obviously the smallest in the world. Because of that, they have extremely small trigger hairs. And I'm talking so small that if I zoom in like 100x on this footage, they're so thin, my camera can't even pick them up. And I guess the trigger hairs were quite literally so thin that every time this flightless fruit fly walked inside the jaw of a trap, the jaw didn't close at all, and the fly was able to just walk out. I mean, it kind of makes sense. These flightless fruit flies weigh about 0.0003 grams. So yeah, I guess the traps quite literally can't even be triggered by how light their weight is.
Yeah, clearly the fruit flies aren't gonna work. So instead, I got the world's smallest cricket instead to test. Let's see if this works any better.
And oh boy, let me just tell you, things were a lot more interesting this time around. Because once again, the cricket walked straight up to one of the trap pots and started climbing all over the tops once again. But this time, quite literally within 30 seconds, the cricket happened to put his face up to the lip of one of the Venus flytraps. You may also already know this, but these plants produce a special kind of nectar around the lips of their jaws to lure insects in like this cricket. And you can see it was working pretty well, because this cricket was just absolutely slurping this nectar up. But he was getting a bit too distracted, because he then stepped into the trap, probably stepping on the micro trigger hairs, which then caused the jaws of it to close. But the cricket was too fast, and he was barely able to make it out with his life. Dang, that was a close call, but you can see how quickly that can all happen. And yeah, don't worry guys, because there's only a few minutes later when the cricket did the same exact thing. He walked up to another jaw, walked straight into it, and yeah, this time the trap closed on him while he was starting to walk out, leaving half of his body now sticking out of the trap. Even though these are the smallest Venus flytraps in the world, they trap insects nearly just as well as the fully grown ones.
This plant can also eat insects. And actually how it does it is probably the most brutal out of all of them. Let me show you.
Yep, like I said, these are called pitcher plants. And similar to the last plant, they have pretty long stems that go up. But the difference is this time at the top, there's this little trapdoor leaf thing that if you look is actually covering a hole that leads directly down to a pit of acid at the bottom of the stem. Yep, these traps have this little hole here that's lined with a super slippery nectar on the inside. So whenever an insect walks inside, they'll slip into the acid at the bottom, and yeah.
And what's really cool is if you actually look inside of this pitcher plant, since it's kind of small and shallow, you can actually see the pool of acid at the bottom. And it actually looks like there's a couple little flies and stuff in there, which it looks like it's actually already dissolving. So yeah, it'd be cool to see some crickets or something following these. Let's test it out.
I didn't even need to use an enclosure this time because I knew this was going to be an extremely fast test. Because immediately after placing the cricket on this first pitcher plant, it started to climb along the sides of the red pitcher. As you can see, the inside of the plant is lined with these downward pointing hairs. This is to make it even more slippery and hard to escape. And yeah, it's kind of funny to see how fast this all happens, but the next time the cricket went to the opening of this plant, it straight up just slipped in right away. Nah, this dude had no clue this plant has evolved over millions of years to just be able to eat them this fast. Yeah, and as you can see on this footage that I recorded recorded on my phone, he was now just sitting at the bottom of this pool of acid. Over the next few days, it'll dissolve him and turn him into nutrients for this plant to grow even stronger and larger. Nice.
And yeah, that's really all there is to these pitcher plants. They're not really the most interesting thing ever. Not everyone knows what a sundew is, but they're actually pretty cool. Let me show you what they do.
So obviously, like fly traps, sundews are also a carnivorous plant. Except instead of having jaws, it has these long stems with these little red hairs on the top of them. But on each of these little red hairs is a special kind of sticky glue it produces that will make it so when a fly or any other insect touches it, it gets permanently stuck because of how sticky it is.
And when an insect gets stuck on here, the trap does something insane to be able to consume the insect, which I'll show you very soon when it obviously traps an insect.
So yeah, I got multiple of these sundew plants, and I even got this slightly different kind of sundew called an octopus plant. That will be cool to see if this can catch any insects as well. So let's get these in the testing chamber.
And for this, I think I'll be using a cricket once again, because they're literally perfect. They can just climb up the side of the stems and yeah, just get stuck. This should be fun to watch. Let's put this dude inside.
So yeah, once again, I just started with one of these guys, but if this guy gets caught fast, I'll be adding way more inside of here. Anyways, this cricket for the first minute kind of just wandered around the walls of the enclosure, but it wasn't long until he started heading towards the sundews. Now you see, the sticky glue that this plant produces is actually a type of nectar, which smells and tastes great to the insects. So yeah, just like how Venus flytraps lure insects in with their nectar, these traps do the same thing, because this cricket then decided to start climbing up the stem. The only thing is though that he ended up stopping right before the sticky part, and that's actually because of his antenna. You see, crickets have these pretty long antennas that help them navigate and detect danger before running into it, and this guy's antenna actually ended up getting stuck in the sticky nectar part. But using its mouth, it was able to pull the antenna back and then started to lick all the nectar off of it. Yeah, and I'm not kidding, this cricket really just sat here for like 30 minutes, constantly licking his antenna, then putting it back into the sticky nectar, and then licking it back up. He was kind of outsmarting this carnivorous plant and just getting its nectar for free. So I'm not gonna lie, I just tried to push him towards it with my tweezers since he clearly wasn't gonna do it on his own, and yeah, he just kind of ended up falling off.
Yo, what the heck? I was just trying to record that cricket and I just realized there's a jumping spider in here. Do you see that? It's on the little octopus plant. Is it stuck?
Yeah, this jumping spider just happened to wander into this enclosure by accident. I guess he was just living somewhere in my house. But since he was here, I figured I'd just watch him to see if he would get caught by the traps. And pretty quickly, he started to climb the stems of the trap and got up to the sticky part. But yeah, he was kind of too smart for this trap too and turned around the second he realized it was sticky. But it was pretty cool to watch this guy just jump around the plants. However, he never really ended up getting trapped and he ended up just climbing out of the enclosure.
All right, guys, I'm not gonna lie. This cricket, I've been trying to record him getting eaten for like 2 hours now. And every time right before going on the sticky part, he just stops and cleans his antenna. And yeah, he just turns around and never actually goes on the sticky part. He's too smart for this. So yeah, let me take this guy out.
Instead, I actually just got out the flightless fruit flies again, because apparently this is actually sundew's favorite insect. And yeah, I just dumped a few on the sand, and it wasn't long until some of them started to climb all over the stems and eventually started getting stuck all over the different sticky parts. I even went and just dumped a crazy amount of these flies all over the top of the sundew plants to show you guys exactly how cool sundews really are. Because obviously, now you can see the sticky parts of the plants are just completely covered in flightless fruit flies. Now, if you're wondering how this plant actually eats the flies, well, this footage shows how. As you can see, it uses each of its red hairs to basically curl around the prey. And once all of those curl around it, the stem itself also starts to curl around the prey. This will basically ensure the fly has a 0% chance of escaping, while the plant releases basically an acid to consume it. Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
So yeah, it's pretty cool to see these things work. All these flies are just gonna turn into food for these plants very soon.
I'll test as many flies as I can against all of my Venus flytraps to see who wins. Let's start very simple though, with 5 Venus flytraps versus a single fly. And let's see if this fly can get trapped in under a minute. Now I know you may be thinking, bruh, TerraGreen, I don't care about one fly, this is boring. Well, don't worry, because this literally only lasted like 20 seconds. Because immediately this fly started to crawl up the side of a pot, and of course he made his way immediately into a jaw, triggered one of the hairs, and it closed directly onto him. Yup, flies are basically the one thing Venus flytraps are the best at catching. I mean, they're called Venus flytraps for a reason.
Anyways, I got the tank.
And I didn't waste any time. I just got out the flies that I've been hatching, and I put them straight into this enclosure so we could get this final test started. Quickly, I removed the lid and started the timer. Let the test test began. Now immediately a couple of the flies started to fly out of the container and others started to walk out of the sides. Now there was something weird though, because while the container had a decent amount of movement in it, only like 10 of the flies were actually leaving the container over the 4-hour time lapse here. Yeah, basically all the flies were staying in there. So I decided to just take the paper towel out that they were all on and tried to just shake off as many as I could onto the Venus flytraps. And obviously this meant that a few of the flies were now scattered all over the traps and were actually starting to get trapped. But most of them were just being super inactive, barely moving and not flying. I guess because they were just newly hatched flies and it takes a while for them to become normal.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is kind of a fail. Basically, none of the flies are flying around, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish this.
But don't worry, because my YouTube friend Flytrap Films recorded a test with an insane amount of flies, super similar to this. And he wanted me to show you it. In it, you can see he has a Venus flytrap plant out, and also a bunch of rotten meat in order to attract the flies. Yeah, and it worked really well, because instantly tons of flies started to gather around this plant. And you guessed it, started to get trapped. I mean, when you have this many flies, it's a given that tons are just gonna get trapped right away. And what's so crazy is that sometimes so many would gather on some of the jaws before they close, causing up to 6 flies to get trapped in the same jaw at the same time. What? Flytrap Films himself said that this is the most flies he's ever seen get caught at once. Also, some bonus footage for you guys. Hey, you remember those pitcher plants from earlier? Flytrap Films also did the same test with a massive pitcher plant to show you guys how effective these things are at catching flying insects. And this plant literally just looks like a vacuum cleaner sucking up all the flies. Which in a way, it kinda is, because every time a flying insect flaps its wings above the opening in this plant, it creates a weird kind of vacuum effect with the wind, causing the bug to actually get pulled down into it. And yup, after not too much time, this thing just caught so many flies. And it was literally just starting to overflow. That is probably the craziest performance from a carnivorous plant that I have ever seen.
Apparently, there's this rare species of lizard that not only looks like a dinosaur, but acts just like one. The name of it is a frilled dragon, and it looks very deadly. But despite how dangerous it looks, I found this website that sells legal exotic animals, including this dinosaur, for $800. So yeah, basically I'm gonna buy this, build it at home, and try to keep it as a pet. And I don't know how hard that is gonna be, because as you've already seen, this thing is literally that thing's a demon. I mean, look at that. But anyways, let's just buy this thing. And in this video, I'll be judging how good of a pet a dinosaur actually is by doing stuff like taking it outside like a dog. Yeah, this video's crazy. But before any of that, I first have to wait for it to be delivered, which is going to take about a week. So in the meantime, let's build this thing its dream home with everything it could possibly want. And to do that, well, I've got a lot of stuff. I first put together the glass enclosure to build the dream home inside of. And anyways, now it's time to actually build the dream home, and to do that, there's 5 steps, starting with creating the background. To create the background, I sprayed a ton of foam all along the glass so I could stick a ton of wood to it. You see, I'm basically recreating a forest in here, since that's where frilled dragons live in the wild. And to complete the forest look, I covered it in a ton of dirt and wood chips so it looked nice and natural, you know. As you can see, this tank is already looking very, very beautiful and natural with all that wood and dirt, but it's also looking a bit brown and lifeless too. So let's get to doing some more stuff, starting with the floor. Now I know I was just complaining about everything being brown, but to make the floor we do gotta use some brown dirt. So yeah, the cheapest way to get a bunch of quality dirt is to use one of these compressed coconut fiber bricks, which may not seem like a lot of dirt, but if we add a huge tub of water to it, well, now it's a lot of dirt. Finally, I mixed in a bunch of other types of ground stuff, because that's what forest floors got, you know. Alright, this is starting to look almost like a forest, but we're still missing some key things. So let's move on to step 3, plants and decorations. Now first of all, I've got 2 different types of moss, which to start, I'll use carpet moss, which comes conveniently packaged in this box. Now I always thought moss was just like dead grass or something, but it's actually an alive organism that over time is gonna grow and overtake the entire terrarium. Pretty cool. And I also spread a different type of moss around to add a little bit more variety in this tank. Now this moss is absolutely fantastical, you know, it really brings the whole thing to life. But I'm gonna need way more plants if I'm gonna make this thing look like the dinosaur's actual habitat, which means I'm gonna go get some actual plants with leaves and flowers on them and stuff like that. Which, you know, I like Legos, so of course I bought some, baby.
When I got home, I figured I should just build the Lego set real quick to see how those plants look. So I put that all together, and then I put each of the plants inside of the enclosure and check these out.
Yo, this looks so cool. I'm just kidding. This actually looks pretty stupid. I don't know why I spent $50 on this. Get this trash out of here.
Instead, I of course got out the plants I bought and planted them around the tank. There we go, this tank is starting to come together well now. But in order to complete the decorations, I need to add a huge piece of wood that goes diagonally from the bottom of the tank to the top of the tank, so that the dinosaur will be able to have easy access to the heat lamp that will be at the top. And this is the only wood I have right now. Definitely not enough to get to the top. So in order to get some more wood, I went outside to find some.
Okay, so I basically just need to get some sort of branch that's nice and thick and long, and that's kind of too thin. I need something that's not gonna snap under the pressure of the dinosaur, and yeah, that one kind of sucks too. But oh, this one actually looks pretty good. Look at this. My hand kind of wraps around it. That's good thickness.
So I went inside and grabbed the biggest knife from my kitchen, and I got to sawing.
This should only take like 30 minutes. I'll be done soon.
Eventually, I was able to get this fantastical piece of wood that would work perfectly, so I quickly hosed it down to remove dirt and insects and stuff, and brought it back inside. After breaking it down so it would fit, I put it in place and covered the bottom with some more wood. And boom, the decorations are complete in here. But of course, I'm not just gonna leave the tank like this. We've got to first add in some technologies to make this the best enclosure ever. It's a water bowl. Yeah, so you know the dinosaur can get a drink of water and stuff. Now, even though I added in this amazing water dish, frilled dragons actually never drink from it. They actually just use it as a bathroom box, which is actually an automatic humidifier. You see, frilled dragons need the humidity in their enclosure to be pretty high, and basically this, well, you know, it humidifies the enclosure by spraying water everywhere. I got out this water pump, put it in a container of water, and linked it up with some tubing. Now when I turn it on, it creates this nice little flow of water, which frilled dragons will actually drink from. Well, now there's just one more thing to build before I add the frilled dragon in, and that is heat. And basically what that means is I need to recreate the sun in this enclosure. To do that, I got a heavy-duty heat lamp and an expensive top-quality UV bulb that recreates the same UV rays that the sun does. I also got another lamp with a high-intensity heat bulb because frilled dragons like it to be extremely hot in their homes. To test the temperature, I hooked up a thermometer, and as you can see, it reached up to 100 degrees in the basking spot, which is perfect. Finally, I put a bit of aluminum foil on top to keep the heat and humidity inside. Okay, well, the frilled dragon's home is now complete, and well, it's time to add it inside. And the next day, I got a notification on my phone saying the package was ready for pickup, so I drove out to FedEx.
All right, so I just got back from FedEx, and I just picked up this box, which is probably the frilled dragon. I mean, it says live animal. Hopefully, it didn't give me the wrong package. But anyways, I'm gonna take this thing inside and put it in the cage, and oh, there's some chickens right there. Bruh. I might gotta show these guys to the dinosaur. They're gonna be good friends.
But before I do anything like that, let's just start by opening up this box.
Oh my gosh, I can kind of see the dinosaur right now, and well, it's definitely a dinosaur.
Now that I have the frilled dragon, I'm gonna find out if dinosaurs are actually good pets by doing stuff like feeding it, taking it outside, and even more. But first, let's get this guy in the enclosure. Now, this may not look like a dinosaur just yet, but that's because its thing on its neck only comes out on special occasions. But trust me, I will be showing you exactly what it looks like later in the video.
Okay, well, the dinosaur is in its enclosure right now, and honestly, I'm still scared to get within a 5-foot radius of this thing. Like, I have no idea if this is as ferocious as those videos made it out to be, but I guess we're gonna find out.
For now, I already know this guy is very hungry and thirsty from spending a day in that shipping container, and as you can see, his water bowl is already messed up because he was like jumping around and pooping in there like I thought he would. So to give him a drink of water, I turned my water pump on a very low setting, which made little drops of water fall above the dinosaur. Immediately, he started to stick out his tongue and take little sips of it, which was actually pretty cool to watch. Then he just started to bask in it like he was taking a shower. Dang, maybe this guy isn't as ferocious as I thought. He actually looks pretty chill right now. I got a bag of some pretty big crickets.
Bruh, what are these guys all running around in here for? It's not like you guys gonna escape. They're just jumping around. Are you guys stupid?
And literally immediately after I put a bunch of them in, the dinosaur started to go crazy, as you can see, jumping all around the enclosure to get a nice juicy meal. And to show you just how cool it is when the frilled dragon hunts, I hired a professional nature documentary narrator to tell you what's going on. Look at this.
In this small, recreated prehistoric world, a cricket enjoys a quiet meal of moss. But nearby, the frilled dragon, a creature with roots deep in ancient history, has spotted the movement. Suddenly, the dragon's head snaps towards the cricket. In an instant, it leaps forward, jaws closing around the cricket with precision. The cricket's meal is cut short, now being completely devoured by one of nature's best hunters.
Now, as you can see, that was very cool, and the dinosaur is a very good hunter. So to rank how good of a pet this dinosaur is, I'm gonna rank a bunch of different factors. And because it was super cool watching this guy drink and eat, I'm gonna give Care a 9 out of 10. Yeah, 9 out of 10. That's a pretty good score. Good job, bro.
But another important factor that goes into a pet being good is how friendly it is and whether or not it lets you handle it. Now, dogs are the perfect example of this. You know, they're super fluffy and nice, and they pretty much never bite you. Aww. But frilled dragons, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, based off the videos I've seen, they are not friendly at all.
All right, this is the moment of truth. I'm gonna figure out if this guy's gonna let me hold him. And to make sure I don't get bit, I've got some hand protection, as you can see. I'm just gonna go start by trying to pet him. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're petting him, and it seems like he's chill with that. I'm just gonna be very gentle. Oh! Okay, I got very scared there for a second, but...
So yeah, I was too scared to pick him up with my hand, so I just picked up the log he was sitting on.
There you go. Good boy, good boy. Okay, we're doing it. Okay, so we're just gonna start by putting him on the kitchen table. Let's see. Stay right there. And there we go. Look at him. When he's out of his cage, he's doing good. He's just sitting there. Dang, but he's actually being a good boy. And the craziest thing is you see the frill on his neck. It hasn't even come out yet. So usually they put the frill out on their neck when they're super angry. But this guy, he hasn't even put it out once. He's like super chill with me. So he's just letting me pet him. He's a good boy, bro.
And since the dinosaur was doing so good just chilling inside, I decided I would try and bring him outside to let him explore the world.
And I'm outside with the frilled dragon. Look at this. He's just basking in the sun. This is awesome. It's actually pretty cool. He's like blending in with the log. I'm pretty sure he does that to avoid any birds of prey. Because normally in the wild, they're like scared of birds attacking him. But right now, he's just blending in with the log. He's not even scared at all. And like I said, I was going to show the frilled dragon to the chickens. So I don't want him to get too stressed out, but I'm just gonna kind of let him see the chickens. You see them over there? Yeah, you see the chickens? Aren't they so cool? Oh, they look pretty scared. And oh, okay, they're just running away. Yeah, I think they're scared of him. Okay, I'm just gonna bring him back inside.
That actually went very well, and the dinosaur didn't even get mad at me once. But to be fair, I was too scared to hold him, so because of that, I'm giving friendliness a 7 out of 10. And now for the final thing that determines how good a pet is to see the reaction of my mom. So yeah, I'm gonna show it to my mom.
Have you seen my new pet?
No.
All right, so the lizard is in this giant enclosure right here. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically right there. And, or do you know what kind of lizard it is though?
It looks like a little dinosaur.
A dinosaur, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I got it. It looks like a dinosaur. And guess how much it costs?
I don't know.
It cost $800.
No, it did not.
It cost $800.
It's not even funny.
It did. But this
That's
is the new.
crazy.
This is the new addition to the family. All right.
What's his name?
Doesn't have a name.
Oh, Mr.
right.
Prehistoric.
You wanna name him Mr. Prehistoric?
Prehistoric.
That's a stupid name. So what do you rate it out of 10?
You're pretty cool, Prehistoric. 10.
10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
That can afford it, which is nobody, because who's gonna spend $800 on a lizard? Anyways, I know I said that the dinosaur would be showing his neck frill a lot in this video, which he hasn't yet. So to try and make him do it, I got a scary picture on my phone and showed it to him. And he didn't really care. So I tried getting another picture of a bird predator this time, which yeah, he didn't care about that either. So sorry guys, I lied. Mr. Prehistoric is not going to show his. I found this website that will sell me a pet leech.
Dang, $20 for a pet leech. That's a bargain. I'm gonna buy 2 of these things. Let's just get this checked out.
So in this video, I'm gonna build a home for them, show off everything about keeping a pet leech, and literally let them suck on my arm. Yes, I am not kidding. I'm gonna let them do that, and I might get some unknown deadly virus. This is easily gonna be my weirdest pet. Anyways, until the leeches got delivered, I got out a 20-gallon aquarium and a ton of rocks to get its enclosure built. Step 1 to make its home is to make a rock arch. To do that, I got out some water-safe spray foam and sprayed the entire left side of the enclosure, and then I covered it with some lava rocks. You see, leeches spend most of their time in the water, but they actually have the ability to crawl on land like a worm. And basically, by connecting all these rocks with foam, I was able to build an arch here that I could cover with dirt to make the land portion of this enclosure. On the land, I put some very simple decorations like a piece of wood, some carpet moss, and a small plant to complete it.
Alright, the land area is looking pretty nice and small and cozy, and it's gonna be so cool to see the leeches swim onto the land so they can eat food and stuff. Oh, and also if you're wondering where I got this beautiful plant, it's of course from Walmart. Gotta keep the channel's tradition going, you know.
Anyways, step 2 of this enclosure is to create the water portion. Now I started by getting out some of this black aqua soil stuff and putting a layer of it down because it'll allow us to grow some beautiful luscious plants in here. But first I covered the soil with a layer of sand and started to scatter giant river rocks along the bottom. I figured it'd be cool to make this place look like the bottom of a river since that's where leeches live in the wild. To finish the river look in here, I put some smaller river rocks around, and then I put some extra small tiny river rocks around, and then I put some extra tiny small river rocks around, which aren't really rocks anymore, they're just kind of like gravel, but yeah. Anyways, now it's time for the aquatic plants. So I drove over to the local pet store to buy some.
Okay, here's the aquatic plants, and I always hate buying these because look at this, they're so expensive. Anyways, let me just pick out a few that look cool. And yeah, this cart right here costs like $70 for 5 plants.
Anyways, when I got home, I used my artistic skills to find the most optimal locations to plant each plant, and by that I mean I just put them around randomly, but after putting them all in, it actually looked pretty cool.
Alright, dang, this is actually gonna look pretty good once I add water in here. And also, it turned out really good how that rock arch makes like a little cave there. That's gonna be really cool. I guess the leeches are gonna be able to swim there or something.
Anyways, leeches are freshwater creatures, so I just filled the enclosure up with some normal water, you know, pretty simple stuff, and in no time it was done.
Alright, I'm liking the look of this a lot, but if you look at the dirt, it's absorbed the water and it's super moist and it kind of looks like mud right now. Now, because the humidity's so high right here, mold can actually grow, which is of course not good for the leeches. But don't worry, because I have the perfect solution right here.
Inside of this container, I had some little insect creatures delivered to me for step number 3, the mold cleanup crew. These are springtails, which you may have seen before, but I have a cool idea for them this time. They're basically just super tiny white insects that I guess eat mold when it grows in here. And yeah, there's tons of these things in here, so I just dumped the whole container on the land.
Alright, I think it'd be really cool to get a time lapse of these little guys eating. And since there's no mold in here right now, apparently their second favorite food is yeast, which is like a fungus or something. I don't really know. You use it to bake bread. But basically, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit right here and we'll see what they do. I don't even know if this is gonna work.
So I waited for the springtails to absolutely devour the yeast up, and they were all kind of gathering up around it, looking like they were probably eating it. And as you can see, this part of the yeast kind of changed. I don't know if that's just because it soaked up the water from the dirt or what. I guess I only record the springtails for like 30 minutes, so it's not a very eventful time lapse, but this is what it looked like at the end. Now for step number 4 of completing this enclosure, we gotta put some technology in here like always to make it super good. Now first of all, I got out this machine, which you may have seen in some of my previous videos. Basically, when I turn this little dial, out of the end of the tube, a bunch of fog comes out. So I set that up on the side of the glass and let it run for a minute.
Dang, check this out. It completely transforms it from being kind of boring to like super spooky. And honestly, it's a little bit too much fog. Let me get some of this out of here. Okay, that's better. But you know, it's cool. Adds to the atmosphere. Leeches are pretty spooky. And you know, I'm going to be letting it stuck on my arm. It's not going to be fun.
Anyways, for the second technology, well, this one's a little useless, but it's cool.
Okay, so I was walking around Target earlier and saw these little robot turtle toys on sale for about like $8. And I think it'll just be funny to put these in the water with the leech, you know, once we add them in. But let's just test them out real quick to see what they look like. Okay, I got it. And I think you just like press these buttons and oh, okay, its arms are moving. I guess let me just put it in the water. Let's see what this thing can do. And, oh, it's moving. And it's just swimming into the glass. Okay, I guess it's kind of cool. Okay, it's not that cool to be honest. Well, let me put it on land. Let's see if it can walk on land. And, yeah, okay, I can't walk on land.
Well, this enclosure is now 100% complete and ready for probably the weirdest pet I have ever got to be put inside, the leeches. So I guess just cut to when I get that package.
Alright, supposedly in this box are the leeches. I just got them shipped. I still can't believe we're going to be keeping these as pets, and I'm literally going to be letting it suck on my arm. This is not going to be fun at all, but it's going to be pretty entertaining. But hey, let's just go get these guys in their enclosure. We don't want them in their shipping box anymore. Let's go.
So I brought the box inside and opened it up.
Oh, nah, bro. The leeches are inside this little foam box. I do not even want to open this up.
Inside the box was a little plastic container with water and the leeches, which I moved into this bigger container of water. And well, here they are, my new pet. Aren't they so cute?
Aww. Oh, are you seeing this? This is so disgusting. This guy's just climbing up the side of the enclosure. They're already trying to escape.
But despite how nasty they were, I had to transport them to their new home, so I tried to scoop them out.
Okay, I got one of them up against the wall in this little container, and I'm just gonna try and scoop it up. Oh, there we go. Oh, shoot, it's not going good. Oh, no, is this thing trying to escape right now? No, this is not the time. Can you please go back in the container? Oh my gosh, it's just on my table.
But eventually I got it back in, and I was able to put both the leeches into their new home. And right after dropping them in, it didn't take long for the leeches to start swimming around and be super active. Basically, how leeches work is they mostly get around by swimming around just like this, like how a sea snake would. But on one end of their body, they actually have a little suction cup so that they can grab onto walls and rocks so they can stay still. And of course, on the other end of their body is the mouth that they use to, of course, grab onto animals with.
Okay, as you guys know, these leeches get most of their food by sucking the blood out of other animals.
Hi.
I'm just bringing you in here because I want to show you my new pet. All right, so basically just look at its cage and I want you to guess what's in there.
Oh my god.
Do you see anything in there?
Yeah, it's in the jar.
Yeah, right there.
Disgusting.
In the
dude.
jar. I had to put it in a jar just because
Is it a centipede?
a centipede is
I
underwater.
don't know.
That's a leech.
No, dude.
A pet leech.
No.
Isn't a pet leech cool?
No. Is it the sucking of the blood leech?
Basic, yeah, sucks your blood. But you know, we gotta feed it.
Oh, right. I see where you're gonna go with this not happening.
Yeah, don't worry, we're definitely not gonna be feeding it anyone's blood. But I wanna show you this thing you see on top.
Gross.
You can put fog inside.
That's neat.
But I don't only have fog, we also got some turtles.
Some little turtles.
Yeah, they just kind of move around. They're kind of cool.
Why is it in a jar like that, though?
Oh, you're wondering why it's in a jar? So basically, it's in a jar because I need to do something with it, and I need you to record me do something with it.
Oh my gosh, okay.
So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick the leech up and I'm just gonna take all the water out and then I'm just gonna put this upside down right here. And basically I need you to take my phone and record me sucking the blood out of my arm.
No, you're not gonna do that.
Yes, I have to
No,
do
we're
it.
not, dude. Why do you have to do that?
Because I said I would do it at the start of the video.
Oh, right.
I'm just gonna take the jar and put it here.
Oh my gosh,
so it does
no.
something.
Why are we doing this?
Don't worry.
No, dude.
So this might take like a couple minutes, I don't
For
know.
it to even get out of there?
Yeah, you see how the suction cup is on the jar?
Yeah. Here, maybe I can like it.
Okay, it could happen right now. It could happen right now.
No, 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 no. No!
Okay, it's biting me.
So why are we doing this again?
Go back a little bit.
Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Okay, it's biting me right now and it's sucking my blood. I feel the blood coming out of my arm.
Oh my god,
Okay.
no. Ew.
It feels so weird.
Does it?
So basically, it's injecting like a chemical in my blood right now to make it run faster so it can suck more blood out. Oh!
Oh my god, are you serious? Is this, can it really harm you? Does
No,
this do
hopefully
anything
not.
to you?
So I don't know how to get this off actually.
No, I'm flicking it off.
No, so you can't flick it off. Okay, so the teeth are like going harder into my body. So some people feed these for like 3 hours at a time, but yeah, I'm not doing all that.
Oh my gosh, they actually let them feed your blood for 3 hours.
Yeah, you just kind of want to like trick its teeth into like scaring it, you know, so it will unbite it. All right, and just like that. Get off, get off, get off, get off.
Oh
Go.
my god, get up.
Ah, it bit me again. There we go, just like that. It's all fine and dandy. So that's my new pet.
What? No, dude, let's just throw it in the toilet.
Okay, we're not gonna do that. Don't worry because we got princess band-aids right here to heal the wound.
gosh.
And we got some cream or something I guess you gotta put on it.
Neosporin, yeah.
Okay, so first we just gotta get the cream, put some on there like that. Maybe that's a little too much. And then we have our princess band-aid. So we just take that out. Oh, I don't know who that is, but it's a very pretty princess. And boom, just like that, we just fed our pet leech.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there, you wanna try?
Nope,
Your turn.
absolutely not. No, or just throw it in the toilet.
And apparently Google says one of the best things to feed them is raw liver from the grocery store. And I don't really have any of that, so I guess let me just go get it.
So I drove over to Walmart and found some of that raw beef liver that supposedly the leeches will eat.
Dang, check this stuff out. It's only $2.44 per packet of it. That is why we shop at Walmart, everybody. And it does look pretty nasty, but I'm pretty sure the leeches are gonna eat this. I don't know, let's just go home and figure out.
So when I got home, I opened the packet up and got a little raw piece piece of liver out.
All right, well, we got the beef liver right here. It's kind of nasty, I'm not gonna lie, slimy and everything. And hey, the leech are out and about right now, so I think I'm just gonna drop it in right there. Hopefully it doesn't make the water dirty or anything.
I let the meat sit there for about 15 minutes, but the leeches didn't end up finding it. So instead, I just picked it up and brought it right over to one of them. Immediately, that first one picked up the scent or something and latched onto it. So while that leech rode the piece of meat, I brought it over to the second one, and that guy immediately latched onto it too. And yeah, I just let them go crazy on it, eating it up for a little bit.
Oh my gosh, these leeches are absolutely devouring this piece of meat. I gotta make sure they don't get filled up on this meat, because I still gotta eat meat. Can you guys come off, please? Oh my gosh, if they're this hard stuck on the meat.
We've all seen piranhas in movies depicted as these crazy evil fish that will eat anything they lay their eyes on. But despite how deadly they're made out to be, for some reason, you can legally buy them to keep as a pet.
So I'm gonna buy 6 piranhas, build them a home, and test to see if they're actually as vicious as the movies made them out to be. Meaning, yes, I will be putting my hand inside of their tank. What could go wrong? Let's just buy this thing.
And so literally the next day, the delivery van dropped off the package. I cut open the tape on the box that had the piranhas inside.
Oh shoot, bro, there is literally piranhas right under my hand. Let me take this bag out. And oh, I cannot believe I'm gonna be keeping these as pets. What the heck?
Thankfully, every single piranha had survived the shipping, so I put all 6 of them into the tank. But when I put them in, I realized they were barely moving and definitely not acting like normal vicious piranhas.
And look, I can literally drop a cricket into the water, and usually they would go crazy immediately eating that up, but check it out. No reaction at all.
You see, the reason they're not moving is because they need a way bigger tank with all the right stuff inside. So I got out a new tank and filled it with 100 pounds of sand. We gotta do this because, of course, the first step is creating the floor and decorations. To continue this process, I started to use these sort of thin sticks and use a hot glue gun to hang them from the top of the enclosure. You see, these piranhas that I bought are red-bellied piranhas, which are supposedly the most vicious species, and they live in the Amazon River where there's all these roots and stuff hanging in the water, so that's what I'm trying to recreate in here with this. Anyways, next up, it was time to use even more wood. You see, this time I want to stack up some thicker wood to make it look like a massive tree trunk is growing from out of the water. So I actually took the wood out and used some water-safe spray foam to connect all the pieces together with some branches coming off of them.
And then once all the spray foam and stuff on it has dried, we just plop it in there like that. And boom, there we go. Check it out. You can even see the roots and stuff. It's pretty cool. It looks like a tree, but there's still a bit more decorations we have to put inside of here.
First of all, you guessed it, just some more wood randomly scattered around, but then some rocks because pretty much every Amazon riverbed has them. And finally, some pebbles like this, which I dropped around the enclosure, and some even tinier little pebbles, which I also dropped around the enclosure, which makes the sand across the whole thing look a little more realistic.
Well, I'd say this is a pretty good start to the base of the tank, but now it's time for the fun part. Let's go get some aquatic plants for this. Okay, I'm at Petco, and I'm not gonna lie, the aquatic plant section is looking a little lousy today. Pretty much all these plants are like dead. Bro, no way I'm paying $10 for a dead stick with a little leaf. But let's buy all the ones here that are alive like this.
So I picked out all the good plants and even found this little cool vine one, which of course I had to get to. So I drove home and got all the plants out.
Oh man, this is already the most plants I've gotten for a video, and that's not even including this big bag of leftover plants Petco had.
Anyways, I went and put each of the plants in the sand across the tank and filled it up with a bit of water. That way the roots of the plants could stay nice and moist while we continued building.
Oh, and I almost forgot the most important part, this vine thing. Let's just put this across the branches like that, and oh yeah, check it out. It looks like a vine.
Well, next up, as you can see, I've left this little area here empty. That's because I want to build a graveyard here with a ton of skulls and stuff because apparently piranhas are deadly. So I drove out to buy some.
Okay, I'm at PetSmart first, and I found this skull decoration, so I'm gonna get that. Ooh, and they got a tiny little animal skull. I'm definitely gonna get that too.
So I bought those and a couple more decorations with skeletons on them. Then after getting home, I put some of the larger skulls around in the sand. I even replaced some of the rocks in the back with them, so this place would look extra spooky.
Then with these tiny little skull beads, I'm gonna go and plant them around in the sand, just like that. Then I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of sand on top so it looks like they've been buried. And there we go, check the graveyard out. It actually looks pretty good. Bunch of skulls on the floor, all those other big skulls. Yeah, I like it.
And now finally, to finish this tank, we gotta do the DIY technologies. And for the first one, I started to set up across the whole back of the tank. You see, right now, this stuff does nothing. But once I fill up the entire tank with some cycled water, which took a long time because of how big it was, check out what it can do.
All right, now if I go and plug in these pumps, as you can see, it starts to make bubbles at the back of the enclosure. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But basically this little air pump just blows air into this tube, which goes into there. But what I could actually do is unattach that and just blow into this myself to make bubbles. That was cool. Anyways, the last technology is this little fish. I'm just kidding. I've actually already shown this in a video before. So what I've got is the upgraded version. Yeah, this one's way bigger and way cooler. Which, as you can see, if I just go and put it in the water like this, it starts to swim around like a normal fish.
And yeah, I just think it'd be funny if I maybe tested the piranhas to see if they try to eat it or something. So I sucked the liquid up into the syringe thing and brought it over to the tank.
Okay, this might seem kind of complex, but it's actually genius. You see, I can basically squirt some of this around in the water and it just spreads the scent around. And what I'm gonna do is attach it to the side of the enclosure, and whenever I want to get the piranhas mad and in hunting mode, I just squirt a little bit of this out the end and it'll make them go absolutely crazy.
So I attached that to the side of the tank with some glue, and then it was done. And now, anyways, this tank is now complete. And speaking of the piranhas, it's time to get them inside.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best to not get bit here. Oh no.
So I grabbed the temporary tank they were in and brought it over to their new home so I could scoop them out.
Okay, they definitely look more aggressive than the first time I did this, but I'm just gonna carefully scoop one guy out just like that. Oh shoot, he's mad, but I'm just gonna put him into the new tank, and there you go. Be free, my friend. New home.
So I did that same process with the other 5, and there we go. The piranhas were in their new home. And as you could guess, immediately they packed up like piranhas do and looked as though they were already on the hunt for food once again.
Well, these piranhas look pretty hungry, I'm not gonna lie, or maybe piranhas are just always hungry. So now I'm gonna feed them. Now, if you remember at the start, the piranhas wanted nothing to do with the crickets, but let's see how they'll react now that they're in this new tank.
So I dropped in just one, and because it was just floating there, I grabbed it with tweezers to show the piranhas. Instantly, you could see they picked up the memo that this was alive, and they sort of started to nibble it like the mealworms. But not even a single piranha actually took a big enough bite to eat this cricket.
Okay, that was pretty bad. I guess these piranhas just don't really like insects, so that's why I'm gonna rapid fire the next 2 off. Here you can see I've got salmon and ground beef, which is a lot more smelly. They better like this.
I started by waving the salmon around in the water until the piranhas noticed it, and once a few started to come up and nibble it, I accidentally dropped it into the sand where all the rest of the piranhas came swimming up. They huddled around it like a pack of hyenas and started to actually take little chunks out of the piece for them to eat. So I did the same thing with the ground beef and held it in the water. And this time the piranhas were even more interested, and instantly the entire pack huddled around it and took turns taking their bites out of it. I even noticed that the scraps of it had fallen onto the floor and were getting surrounded by the piranhas too.
Well, the first of which being mealworms.
And before feeding them the mealworms, if you remember, I had this pipe with the delicious juice inside, which I went and squirted inside to let the piranhas know it was feeding time. And as you could guess, they immediately started to go up and eat it, which kind of made a mess, but yeah, they were loving it.
Oh my gosh, do you see that? They're all gathering around a little area where I just put it in.
So now that they were ready, I dropped in the mealworms and one started to sink down. 2 of the piranhas noticed it and kind of took nibbles at it, but they were kind of just playing around with it more than they were actually eating it. And that same thing kept happening with most of mealworms, but that was until I saw this, where 3 of them took turns devouring it up, and yeah, this one actually got eaten.
Okay, well, mealworms, they loved that so much, but that doesn't mean I gotta do my hand now. I said I would do it in the intro, so, you know, let's just do it. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Start the timer. Let's see how long I can keep it in here.
Right away, nothing really happened because none of the piranhas were near my hand. But I knew this was kind of cheating, so I moved my hand closer, where right away, one sort of noticed me and actually started to chase my hand as I moved it away to avoid getting bit. So of course, I moved my hand back over to the pack, where some of them definitely got sort of close to biting me, but they were nowhere near as aggressive as they were towards the beef. You see, it's actually a common misconception that piranhas are evil towards humans like all the movies say.
But to be honest,
this is a toe biter. Yeah, might sound funny, but these little bugs live in lakes and spend all day eating everything they lay their eyes on. And to humans, they're known for injecting venom into toes, causing extreme amounts of pain.
So I found this website that will sell me some to keep as pets. Yep, I'm gonna build them a home in this fish tank. Let's buy 2 of these. Let's see how this goes.
And you already know, the delivery drivers worked overtime to get these to me as soon as possible. So I cut it open so I could get out the containers. Supposedly the bugs were inside.
All right, let's see these. Oh shoot, no, this thing's massive.
Since it was kind of hard to get a good look at them in these containers, I got out this temporary tank and put them in. I was very careful because supposedly supposedly these guys have wings, meaning they could just fly out to my toes and start biting them if I wasn't careful. Anyways, now we can really see how absolutely vicious these guys are with their insanely sharp pincher forceps that they actually use to latch onto prey in the wild. Then, using a little sharp mouthpiece they have, they inject a special type of venom into prey that turns the inside of their body into liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie.
Yeah, I really hope these guys don't escape while making this video. But anyways, let's just build them a home and keep them as pets.
This can't go well, but the first step is to make the background of their home. To make this look good, I wanted to put this black board along the back. That way the tank would have more of this dark feel that matches how creepy the toe biters are. Then I got out some spray foam. Yep, wouldn't be a TerraGreen video without it. But this time I used the foam to connect all these pieces of cork bark along the back to add some sort of natural feel to it. I even went and covered all the excess spray foam with some dirt so it wouldn't be as ugly.
But the coolest thing is, as you can see, is I actually hid some of these plant pots along the top. Basically, it's gonna allow me to plant some beautiful plants in here, and it's gonna be super luscious by the end of the video, probably.
But to really complete this backdrop, we need to add these. These are called sticks. Yep, and we're gonna put these along the back wall. If you didn't know, sticks are really cool because they grow from trees, and they're actually made of wood. I'm just kidding, guys. I know you guys all know what sticks are. I don't know why I'm explaining this. Anyways, yeah, I put so many of these sticks along the back because I really wanted to make this place look like some underwater mangrove swamp with so many roots everywhere.
I'm already loving how this is coming together, and we're not even on step 2, which is actually to make the floor and decorations.
For this build, I just wanted to use this simple gravel material for the floor. But along with it, I've also got this, which I've never actually used before. It's a little underground cave that goes up against the glass. Basically, after we go and fill up the rest of this floor with gravel, you can see this cave stays as an open area that stuff can go inside. And maybe our toe biters will come and chill in here, or maybe some of the prey we add will come and hide in here. For as long as they can, of course.
Now, you're probably wondering why I didn't add any of this aqua soil like I usually do. And well, that's because I'm not gonna put any sort of plants in here this time.
Instead, I want it to look like some abandoned swampy area with super murky water. And we do that by putting a ton of natural materials around, like this big driftwood piece coming out the middle, and then a bunch of smaller stuff, like these dead leaves, some mini pine cones, and little sticks.
But most importantly, I've got some beta miracle leaves. Oh yeah, I don't know why they're called miracle leaves, but hopefully they spread some sort of miracle around the tank. Something like that, surely.
But actually, I kind of do know why these are called miracle leaves. Because if I go and fill up this floor area with just a bit of water, you can see over the span of about an hour, it starts to turn into this brown, murky color. That's because those leaves and all the other natural stuff I added inside is spreading around tannins in the water, which turns it this color. And it's actually super healthy for any fish or bugs that would live in here. Dang, the more you know. Anyways, I drained that while I continued on with the build by putting in a few lava rocks and covering them in a bit of the sphagnum moss, which I also put all over the background of the enclosure.
Finally, the most important decoration is some little mini plastic boots. Yeah, because we all know at the bottom of every lake and stuff, they just got like boots and stuff. At least that's what all the fishing games I've played have told me. Yeah, I got some pretty cool decorations, as you can see. I'm just gonna put that there.
Now for my favorite part of each of these weird pet videos, the DIY decorations. And for the first one, let's make some pictures. Yup, I literally went out and bought these mini dollhouse picture frames. I'm just gonna scatter all around the enclosure with funny pictures of toe biters.
And to make some funny pictures, I gotta do some photoshopping. I'm a Photoshop master, so this should go pretty well.
First of all, I used my expert skills to make a picture of a toe biter eating one of its favorite foods ever, a frog. Yes, they actually eat frogs in the wild. Then I made this picture of a toe biter flying in the air with beautiful angel wings. Because yeah, like I said, they can actually fly with their actual wings, but they don't look as majestical as these angel wings, of course. Finally, I found this picture of what it looks like when a toe biter lays eggs. Yeah, apparently they literally keep them on their back until they hatch. So I put a bunch of baby toe biters all around this mom toe biter.
Then we just gotta go and print out these fantastical pictures. And yes, I finally got a printer at my house, so I don't gotta go to the store no more. And wait, no, what the heck is this, bruh? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, I forgot you gotta buy color for the ink. Okay, I guess I gotta go to the store anyways. Please do that, by the way.
Yeah, so I drove to the printing store to get the photos instead. Anyways, when I got home, I cut out all the little images and put them inside their frames. As you can see, I obviously have the ones I photoshopped, but I also found this picture of all the toe biters' favorite foods, like insects and fish, so they can daydream about them all day. And I also found this picture on Google of some crazy person who willingly let this thing bite him. Why the heck would you do that, bro? I don't know, I just thought I had to put this in. Anyways, for the next DIY build, I'm gonna make some signs. plants. Yep, I literally went out and bought all these random pieces of wood so I could burn some cool patterns on them with my super hot wood burning pen. With the first sign, I made it say beware of the biter, and I even put a little bit of eye emojis at the bottom. You know, I just thought those looked cool. And then on the second sign, I made it said rest in peace to all the insects and fish that enter this tank, because as you know, toe biters do not take kindly to those kind of things.
Now I could just go and put these inside of the tank. I kind of want them to look like signs, so I got these sticks that I use for the background, which I'm gonna go and hot glue to the back of them.
Once they dried, I stuck the two signs in the floor and got out the final sign that I was gonna make a pattern on. This time, I stuck these little wooden letters onto the sign to write toe biters. Then I completely burned all the letters black so they stood out.
All right, let's just hang that right there. And oh, that's actually fire. Hold on, wait, that's actually on fire. Oh, no, I'm just kidding, guys. It's just some editing. Yeah, don't worry, but it is actually fire. That's pretty cool.
And now the build only needs one more thing. Some plants to put in those pots that I had at the top of the enclosure. So I drove to Walmart to buy them.
Oh yeah, I haven't been to Walmart in so long. I already know they're gonna have some fire plants. Bro, what is this? Wait, this is the entire plant section?
Yeah, I don't know what my Walmart is doing, because why the heck is there only like 5 plants here? None of these plants are even the right type, and they would all die in the water. Come on, Walmart. Hashtag bring back the plants. Everyone comment that. We actually got to bring back these plants. Anyways, I went home and instead just got out these terrarium plants that I had sitting in my garage. Listen, guys, I tried to go to Walmart. I know you guys get mad at me whenever I don't, but hopefully this is good enough for you guys. And anyways, once the plants were inside, I filled it up with water, and as you can see, it turned super brown from all the tannins, of course, which is perfect. That's exactly how I wanted it. And yep, this is now 100% complete. We don't need a filter or anything because toe biters are extremely resilient to water. So the next thing is to literally just get these guys inside.
Okay, I gotta be extremely cautious with this. I have no idea how I'm gonna do this. I'm just gonna, okay, 3, 2, 1, quickly pick it up. Oh, they both fell off. No. Okay, they're swimming around. I'm gonna put this back on top so they don't fly out.
So I instead went with a different approach and moved the cork bark to the new tank and instead used this net to try and transport the toe biters without them flying away.
Move. Okay.
Thankfully, it was a little bit more successful, so I did the same with the other toe biter, and you can see they both just swam straight down to grab onto something, and they stayed completely still. But they do this for a purpose. You see, toe biters have evolved to have the exact same pattern and shape as a dead leaf, and they stay completely still till some prey swims by them. Then they pounce on it.
So you already know, let's test the 3 food sources with these guys. You see, insects are great and all, but in order for my toe biters to be healthy and thriving, they need to eat fish, because that's what they eat in the wild mostly.
And thankfully online, there's tons of websites that sell feeder fish just for this purpose. So I bought 2 of them so we can get our pet toe biters their proper nutritions. The next day, they got delivered, so I got them ready to feed.
All right, let's do this. And I even got my GoPro so I can get some nice underwater shots of these toe biters eating. Let's dump one of these fish inside.
The fish that I had put inside immediately started swimming around. But little did he know that this was the home of my pet toe biters, which were secretly sitting right next to him watching his every move. And only a couple minutes later, he got a little too curious and started swimming near the toe biter. The toe biter was preparing to strike, but he had to wait for the perfect opportunity in order to not scare the fish away. And when the moment was right, he pounced off the rocks and missed and scared it away. Bruh, come on, I thought you were a master hunter. So instead, 5 minutes later, I decided to just help him out by feeding him with some tweezers. There you go, boy. Hope you enjoy. And yeah, this seemed like it was probably his favorite food, and he would not let go. Mealworms are one of the most common foods for the kind of pets I keep, so I had a feeling these guys would definitely enjoy them. First of all, I dumped one in the water with some tweezers and waved around in front of this guy. And instantly, he dashed off of his rock towards it, and it actually scared me a bit, but he didn't even actually end up attacking the mealworm. So when he found a new spot to go and rest, I did the same exact thing. And this time, he struck at it, and he scared me so much, I actually dropped the tweezers with the worm. I don't know why this scared me. I'm literally using tweezers, but yeah. Anyways, on the 3rd attempt, this is what happens. He went and grabbed the mealworm with his claws, and he actually got a good grip with it. Then he brought out his sharp mouthpiece and started finding a good spot to poke into the worm with. Eventually, he made the bite, and as I said earlier, they inject a special digestive enzyme into their prey that turns the inside of them into a liquid that they then proceed to slurp up like a smoothie. And yeah, this must have been a tasty, tasty smoothie.
I think there's roaches in here. Oh yeah, right there. You see them.
I wanted to make this one quick, so instantly I put one of these roaches in in front of the second toe biter, and almost immediately he pounced onto my tweezers totally, and he just like would not let go. I think he didn't even see the roach, so I just knocked him off the tweezers and tried again. This time he actually grabbed the roach, but he also grabbed onto my tweezers again and straight up just would not let go. So I kind of just set the tweezers down while he ate the roach, and you can see this guy was also absolutely slurping this up and probably enjoying it a lot. It may take you a couple of seconds to realize that there's a camouflaged mantis here, but that's all the time it needs to grab you and eat you alive. Yep, there's mantises that have learned to imitate flowers so well that they grow literal petals on their arms, all just to trick bugs into walking near them.
And apparently I can get 4 different variations of them online to keep as pets. So hey, I guess let me buy them. Add to cart.
And because of their fantastic one-day delivery, the next day I got the package. Inside was 4 little containers, each with their own mantis. There was 2 of these pink and white flower mantises. There was 1 dead moss-looking mantis, and also 1 black mantis, which doesn't really blend in with anything in nature, so I don't know why this was included in the camouflage pack, but I'll make it work. For the builds, I'm going to take out 4 enclosures and start spraying the backs of them, all of course with some spray foam, which I then covered in dirt and moss, and I did that to every single enclosure. I then even went and added some little spray foam mounds on the backs of each background so they all had some depth and variation to them. Now from here, I'm going to create the camouflage bases of each enclosure, starting first with the 2 pink and white flower mantises. For these guys, I started by filling up their enclosures with dirt and attaching some smaller sticks hanging along the back of it. I eventually want to get pink and white flowers all over this, but for now, we're just making the base. I then used some of this green moss to hang off the ends of all of the sticks. We don't want to use too much of this stuff though, because the mantises don't really blend in that well with it. Then for the third enclosure, we're gonna put in those same dirt and sticks, but as you can see, this mantis evolved to have more of a pattern that matched this tan dead moss. So this time I put a ton of that moss everywhere along the branches. Then for the floor, you guessed it, more tan stuff like dead leaves, some more moss, sticks, and pine cones.
But I feel like this enclosure is still kind of missing something, and to be honest, I've kind of ran out of all of the tan materials. So I'm just gonna head outside, and as you can see back here, there's a ton of these like dead flower things, but they look exactly like the mantis. So let me pick off a few and take them inside.
But you see, I don't want to just shove these into the enclosure because there's a chance that there's some deadly bacteria and parasites on them. So to kill all that stuff, I preheated my oven to 250 degrees, lined the sticks up on a baking sheet, and slid it inside. Basically, because the temperature is so high, it's gonna kill all the bacteria and stuff on here, so we can put this in the enclosure.
All right, it's been in there for like 30 minutes, so let's just pull this out, and oh yes, it's looking nice and crispy. Maybe a little too crispy. That one looks like it just caught on fire, actually.
Anyways, I put those around the enclosure, and then it was done. Now, finally, onto the black mantis's base. And as you know, this guy doesn't really blend in that well with normal stuff, because like nothing in nature is black, really.
But I'm not gonna let that stop me, because I actually have an idea.
So what I did was go outside and started to saw a few branches off of some trees. Once I had collected a few of them, I laid them down along a metal sheet as they were now ready for my experiment.
Everyone, say hello to a blowtorch. Yes, this is real. Apparently, you can just buy one at Walmart for $20 and you don't need a license or anything. I don't really know how to use this thing, but basically, I just want to burn the wood so it's black. So, I guess let's just try it out.
So, that's what I did. Basically, the sticks catch on fire for just a second, which is just enough time for them to turn black. I also decided to burn them one by one in order to not accidentally start a giant bonfire in my house. I then put all this black wood around the enclosure and kind of just stuffed the larger pieces in the top of the sticks, and there we go.
There we go. Looks pretty good now, but I think we can go even darker. And we do that, of course, by once again getting the blowtorch, and we're just gonna go along the background and just kind of set it to fire. Oh, shoots. Oh, I gotta be careful.
To all of you watching, make sure not to try this at home. Got out all the plants and started by just putting them in the first 2 flower enclosures.
But I still feel like I gotta make these 2 enclosures way more pink.
And in order to do that, I went outside and went up to this pink tree I have in my yard. The flower petals all over it looked like a good color, so I grabbed a few of them and scattered them along both of my enclosures. Now, when I put one of the pink flower mantises up to the flowers and let them climb onto it, it's almost like it completely disappears. Anyways, now it's time for this 3rd enclosure. Now, if you remember, I got this plant for this enclosure, so I kind of just picked off parts of it and planted it along the soil all around the enclosure. And as you can see, this mantis blends in all right with this, but it's actually going to be mostly used as just a way to climb up to some moss where she really blends in with.
All right, that looks good. And now time for the black enclosure for the black mantis. And for this, I just got a green plant because obviously there's no such thing as a black plant or Wait, actually, there might be a thing as a black plant. Let me test it out. Let me put that leaf there. Turn on the blowtorch, and I guess just see what happens. Just start lighting it a fire.
And as you can see, when I burned this plant, it actually was turning black, but also had a slight side effect that it was completely getting disintegrated, and the structure of it all fell apart.
Yeah, I don't know if I could use that, actually.
So I just stuck to my original plan and put the plant smack dab in the center of the enclosure. Yeah, it doesn't really match, but to be honest, it's kind of cool and adds a little bit of nice contrast to this burned wasteland look. And with that, we can now finally put the mantises into their new home and see if their camouflage actually works on bugs.
Let's see how these do in the enclosure.
So I went and dumped some of the crickets in and then put the pink flower mantis in. And right away, I noticed that maybe I had put too many crickets in because the mantis was getting absolutely surrounded by them. In fact, he actually looked pretty scared and was trying to just stand still to blend in and not get seen by the crickets. And the entire 45 minutes of watching him in this enclosure, I didn't see him strike a single cricket.
Well, I guess just any crickets are not a food source that baby mantises like. So these get a 0 out of 10. Get this trash out of here. However, there you go, boy. Come on. You gonna climb on? Hello?
Now for the first food source for this guy, I'm gonna be using literally just the size I never get for my videos because, I mean, look at them. They're like even smaller than my fingernail. But anyways, let's put these inside the enclosure. Right away, one of the crickets started to climb along a flower. And I don't blame you if you couldn't see the mantis here because it's in its prime camouflage territory. If us humans have trouble seeing a mantis like this, I can say for a fact that this cricket definitely couldn't see it and it made a grave mistake of walking too close. The mantis quickly struck at the cricket but missed. But the mantis wasn't gonna let that stop him. So the next time the cricket came around, he charged up an attack and jumped off the leaf. Yeah, and that kind of just kept happening over and over. I guess they're scared of extra small crickets or something.
I still think there's room for improvement with this black mantis because I have one more prey I want to try and feed them. So I'm just gonna go and let this guy loose in the enclosure.
For this guy, I'll be feeding him flightless fruit flies, which is the tiniest of all the preys I've had, meaning it's probably the hardest to catch. But I've also heard mantises love flies, so let's see. Now, it turns out that doing that burnt wood for this enclosure was actually a good idea because the mantis was just chilling on one of the sticks, waiting for a fly to walk by. And after leaving him alone for a minute, I actually came back to a flightless fruit fly in his hand. It's a pretty cool shot to see the black mantis on the black stick eating a black fly contrasted with that white background. But I did kind of want to see him strike one of the flies, so I ended up putting him on a white lid and put a fly right up to his face. Right away, he struck at it, and yeah, he started eating this one too. Even though mantises are just some simple little insects, I think they have one of the coolest eating processes out of any animal.
This next mantis is a bit bigger, and I'm 100% confident he's gonna eat the next food source. Let's go and put him in the enclosure. There you go, boy.
They're fast and hard to catch, but they're very nutritious. The mantis ended up walking onto this plastic lid that I had put in the enclosure, so I ended up just putting the roaches on that. And literally instantly, the mantis noticed them and turned on his predator mode. Right away, he struck at them and missed. But he wasn't gonna let that stop him because then he struck again, and this time he got a perfect hold of the roach. Using their sharp claws, they basically hold the prey in place and lock them so they can't get out no matter what. Then with its alien mouth, it sucks the juices out of the roach while it's still alive. Yeah, it's extremely brutal, and the whole time the roach was just squirming its little antennas around, but there was nothing it could do.
There we go. That's what a mantis is supposed to do. So I think I'm gonna give the roaches 8 out of 10.
These are mealworms, and they're known for their ability to eat almost anything. But what if you put 10,000 mealworms on a whole watermelon? How quickly would they completely eat it and turn it to mush despite its massive size? Yeah, I don't know, so that's why I bought 10,000 mealworms. Yeah, this is the most nastiest thing I've ever done. I put the bread inside, and as you could probably imagine, the mealworms wasted no time to start swarming this thing, and of course, they then started to consume it. If you pay attention to right here in specific, you can see how they just devour a massive hole right through the center of the bread. If they're doing this to the tiny piece of bread, imagine what they do to the full watermelon. Anyways, literally after only 4 hours, this bread was hollowed out with mealworms and just had holes all over it. But this is literally nothing compared to the other time lapses I'll be showing off in the video. I have tons of stuff planned. I'm not gonna waste any time, and I'm gonna record some stuff right away. But before we do the watermelon, I actually want to start with something a lot more interesting. This thing. Yeah, this is literally a piece of styrofoam. And you're probably wondering right now, what the heck, TerraGreen? Why are you feeding this to the worms? Well, it's because mealworms have an absolutely insane special ability ability, and it's actually that they can somehow digest styrofoam. Yeah, talk about the latest special ability ever, but I just had to get a time-lapse showing this off, and immediately, these dudes started to completely climb all over the styrofoam, completely covering it. I don't know why mealworms are one of the only animals that can eat styrofoam. It's honestly kind of weird, and the craziest part about this time-lapse is if you look right down here, you can literally see the moment when the mealworms decided to start chewing a massive hole through the side of the styrofoam. So they could literally crawl inside to eat more. It's super cool. And anyways, after leaving the styrofoam in here all night, I shook off all the mealworms so we could see the damage that was done, and holy, look at this thing. First of all, that hole the mealworms shoot through the side is nasty, and it's still filled to the brim with worms. Ugh. Then just this whole top part has bite marks all over it, and this thing is probably hollowed out and just filled with worms. Nah. And yeah, if you're wondering about the other pieces of styrofoam, basically the exact same thing happened to them, and they got obliterated. It's safe to say these mealworms are hungry.
Now, I think it's about time we get out the watermelon so we can do the final time lapse, and I got a knife here so I can go and cut this thing up so we can reveal the nice juicy red part.
So yeah, that's exactly what I did, and I just put the watermelon straight into this tank so we could get this test started right away. Now you already know the mealworms started to of course climb all over the watermelons right away. Mealworms love watermelons because of course they're super sugary and sweet, but they're also made out of 92% water, meaning the mealworms can just get super hydrated. Now it's so crazy because you can see how nice and bright red this watermelon is now. Well, it only took a couple hours until that bright red completely started to fade as thousands of mealworms started to climb all over the watermelon, nibbling tiny little pieces out of it. And yeah, this all happened in the time span of only 12 hours. Yeah, I literally just left this overnight.
Okay, I just checked on this for the first time since waking up, and first of all, this smells absolutely disgusting. But look at this. This was a bright red color like 10 hours ago, but it's like completely rotting because of what these mealworms are doing to it. This is nasty, and they're making all these tiny little holes in it. Nah.
Anyways, I moved the tank to the floor to continue the rest of the time lapse. But as you can see in this footage, as I continued recording, the mealworms weren't nearly as interested in the watermelon. Pretty much none of them were even eating it anymore. I mean, it does look pretty rotten to be honest, so I guess it would make sense to why they don't want to eat it. But yeah, I decided to just stop the time lapse since they weren't eating it anymore, and I came back 24 hours later so I could see the full results of what the watermelon looked like.
What the heck? This is so nasty. Is that mold growing on the watermelons? Oh my gosh.
But actually, to my surprise, when I took a look under the watermelons, there was massive holes chewed through the green shell part. And like this watermelon here had so much chewed through this part. So yeah, I guess the mealworms really were eating the watermelon, but I guess it just wasn't showing up on the time lapse because it was happening under where we could see it. Dang, that's actually insane that they could eat so much.
Anyways, hopefully you guys learned something new. To get footage of them digging out those tunnels along the glass, well, this alien creature is actually able to do the same exact thing. Let me show you how.
Yeah, so this thing's called a vinegaroon, and it's the same one from a few videos ago on my channel. But you see, I call them an alien because, I mean, just look at them. They look extremely weird, and they have these claws at the front of their body that actually allow them to dig.
Yep, and for this guy, as you can see, I filled this tank up with a bunch of clay. But if you look, I actually left a hole on the side of the glass empty. That way, when I go and fill this place up with dirt, the vinegaroon won't be able to make a hole anywhere in this dirt other than that hole I made in the clay right on the side of the glass there.
Now anyways, after getting the dirt in, I wasted no time to put the vinegaroon inside. Now immediately, this alien creature wasn't exactly super interested in digging. He was kind of just trying to climb out. But you see, that's because there's actually a few things I have to set up in here to make this guy want to dig quickly. First of all, I put this water dish in here, and then I started to use my finger to dig out a little tunnel under the water dish. Now when the vinegaroon comes over here, he'll find the little entrance to the burrow I made, and when he's ready to dig, he'll know where to start. So guys, I just went and set up my time-lapse camera in another room so we could observe what these creatures do when no one's watching. And yeah, during the first few hours, since it was technically still day, you can see he was very active amongst the top section, still trying to escape. But the second it hit nighttime, this dude went down to the burrow section, and he started to dig up like a straight up drill. Nah, let's see that on an instant replay. That's actually pretty cool. You can literally see the pile of dirt up here grow as the vinegaroon digs out all the dirt from the tunnel. I think this is some of the clearest footage ever caught of these creatures digging. It's pretty cool to watch.
Well, dang, now that this guy dug this tunnel, you're probably wondering why they actually make these tunnels. Well, they actually make them to hunt. and well, I got a cricket right in here. Let's drop this thing in.
And so after I dropped the cricket in, he started to walk around the top area, but little did he know the vinegaroon was right under his feet, waiting in the burrow for food to walk in. And a little bit later, the cricket did just that. He started squeezing through the opening that was dug out the night before, and he went in deep enough to where the vinegaroon was sitting. I know it got super foggy in here when I brought it to my recording area, so it's kind of hard to see, but the vinegaroon started to attack the cricket, and he started to chase him out the burrow. The cricket tried to escape, but it was no use because the claws of the vinegaroon are just too strong. And I know you guys can't really see it well.
I went and bought 5 big leeches.
Yup, leeches usually live in the wild and grab onto unsuspecting prey to basically just suck the blood out of them. Well, since I have 5 of these leeches and they're in captivity, it's gonna allow me to get some insane time-lapse footage of them sucking the life out of a food object as the leeches get bigger. It should be pretty cool. And if you watch my video about keeping pet leeches, you'd know they basically like to spend all their time under the water, so that's why I'll be setting up an aquarium for this test.
And then quickly, I'm just gonna fill up this tank with this so I can go ahead and put the leeches inside so we can get this test started.
So yeah, I put each of these 5 leashes inside and I put a lid on top so they didn't escape. And immediately you can kind of just see how they all just start swimming around under the water, just sort of like how snakes do. Yeah, it's kind of weird honestly, but once they want to stop swimming, they'll go up to the glass and just grab onto it using the end of their bodies basically as a suction cup. It's actually pretty cool. Anyways, for the food I'll be feeding these guys, it's this piece of beef liver.
Well, all right, why don't we just drop this slimy nastiness into here and see how long it takes for these leeches to get absolutely massive.
And so step 1 was to actually get the leeches to bite onto this piece of meat, which is pretty easy. You basically just pick up the piece of meat with tweezers and start bringing it up to the leeches' faces until they grab onto it. So yeah, I just went around and picked up all the leeches onto the meats. But if you couldn't tell, the water quality got super bad because of the beef liver, so I decided to actually let the leeches eat the beef liver out of the water, since in the wild, that's actually how they prefer to feast. And while a couple of the leeches kind of detached from the piece of meat and started to run away, 3 of the leeches actually did stay on it, so I could watch as they started to eat. You can literally see them contract their throats in and out as they basically use their teeth to grind the meat up, and then they suck it up like a smoothie up into their bodies. But things actually did not go to plan, because out of nowhere, this leech decided to detach from the piece of meat, and then he just started to slither away randomly. Then the other 2 leeches decided to detach too, and this guy decided to just burrow into the piece of meat, and this one just slithered away. Hey, at least we got to watch him eat for a little bit, but this is why I love time lapses. You just capture random interesting stuff like this. It didn't take them very long for them to start swarming this piece of dog food. You see, these are dog treats that I buy for my dog Jet, and they're made out of the top quality real beef ingredients, which of course Jet loves, but that also explains why these flesh-eating beetle larvae were also loving it. Anyways, it was pretty crazy how after just a few of these beetles latched onto the dog food, pretty much all of the beetles soon followed behind, until literally this piece of dog food was literally like just not a piece of dog food anymore. This is just a living piece of flesh-eating beetle at this point. Yeah, there's just so many on here.
Oh my gosh, bro, what? These guys are so hungry.
So yeah, I shook them all off, because if you remember, the main reason I got these beetles is because I actually want to see if they could turn an animal into a skeleton by just eating its flesh. And I don't want them to get filled up on this, but anyways, considering this piece of dog food was only in there for like 10 minutes, the beetles made a pretty decent amount of progress by chewing a bunch of tiny little chunks out of it.
Anyways, for the main course I'm feeding these guys, I've got a duck head. Yeah, and we're gonna see if they can turn it into a white duck skull. But yeah, don't worry guys, I didn't do this to the duck. I actually just bought this at the pet store. Apparently they're dog food. Jack, can you give this a taste test? You think the flesh-eating beetles, you think they're gonna like it? Yeah, he's licking it. I think he likes it.
So since it passes the Jet taste test, I wasted no time to put this into our tank. Let's see what these bugs do. Now, immediately things were pretty interesting, because many of the beetles, of course, were drawn to this nasty duck head, and pretty much all of the beetles started to gather at the base of the head. These guys were all slowly chewing away at the fur of this duck head, and it was cool because you could gradually see the group of flesh-eating beetles move up along the side of the duck head, and they were even eating it so much that they ended up knocking it over. Eventually, it was so nasty because the beetles had just completely swarmed the head and were crawling in and out different parts of it, like the hole in the beak. And after leaving this in here for a full 24 hours, you can just see how much they chewed through all the fur and just how nasty this is. pieces, but the real damage was done on the bottom of the skull where it was completely chewed through. These are the literal bones of the duck skull, and this is just straight up so disgusting. This looks like a zombie duck head at this point.
Oh my gosh, this smells so bad, you guys don't even know. But dang, check this out. I'm actually kind of surprised this didn't just like turn a completely white skull kind of color, because I know these beetles sometimes do that, but I guess it makes sense. This is just kind of dog food, but I would call it a success. I mean, look at how destroyed this thing is. Anyways, so these guys will definitely make a very interesting addition to my pet collection. You heard that right, flesh-eating beetles, and they're called that because they're beetles that eat flesh. And well, let me show you why that is so cool.
Now, as you can see, there's some actual flesh-eating beetles in here, but most of the things in here are still in their larva stage, which means they're actually even more hungry than usual. And you see, these insects are cool because they can literally just eat the flesh off of animals to the point where they only leave the skeleton bones behind. So yeah, I'm gonna try and record a time lapse of that.
And I've got thousands of flesh-eating beetles in here to the point if I put my finger in there, it would probably turn into a skeleton. Actually, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I put a piece of dog food in there. Hey, I guess let me get a quick time lapse real quick.
So I put the dog food in, and oh guys, all I'll say is things are about to get interesting with these beetles. But as you could probably imagine, buying all these crazy bugs and worms is extremely expensive